Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Okay. 1 second. Watch videos. There we go. Haven't had to click that screen in a little minute, but yeah. Okay. Boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Yeah, sorry for if you were watching last stream, the abrupt ending of the stream. I had to deal with personal issues, and yeah, everything's settled now. So I didn't really feel like playing anything, honestly, because I really hate negativity and I hate people criticizing me of whatever I do, whoever I take care of. Hang on 1 second. All right, guys, give me 1 second. 1 second. Brief pause so I can have conversation. Well, actually, going to get into the video. All right, this is a spooky night. Watch videos, chill, while I know to love myself, and I am doing just fine as a person, a daughter, a mother. So, all right. I will be right back, but enjoy the videos. Let's go. All right.
Recently taken over a stand from a friend, but ever since he started working the night shifts, he had the feeling that something was watching him. He even claimed to hear voices when nobody else was around. So one night, he decided to document what was happening. Many people believe that a face can be seen reflected in his cart, staring directly at him. Some even think it could be a demon that attached itself either to the cart or to the surrounding area. What it might want from him, nobody can say for sure. So, is this some kind of evil energy, or is there a more explainable answer? Some of you might remember Julia from a previous video where she captured eerie noises at work. She is a mortician, so one can only imagine the strange things that might happen during night shifts in that profession. But this time, the incident did not happen at work. Julia was staying at an Airbnb with her family when something deeply unsettling seemed to unfold.
I had heard that at least 3 times before I started recording. That does look like the top half of his head. Like, is it a freaking mimic?
Her husband had just stepped out to pick up some snacks, leaving her alone in the room. She says the weird sound had already happened a few times before she even thought to record. At first, she figured maybe she was just hearing things, but when it kept going, she pulled out her phone and hit record. Here's what she caught.
I'm staying in this Airbnb.
I don't think that you're in any position to be judging my moves. Who says I'm judging you? You are.
Oh my god. I've been hearing noises this whole time. And I just heard somebody say, Mom, my kids are supposed to be asleep. So... Guys, did y'all call me? Did y'all say Mom? I heard Mom, dude. I'm gonna check on John.
I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
Gaze upon me.
This isn't right. Wait and see.
I could have sworn I heard somebody say Mom. He's not down. The TV's not even on. Oh, shut up, dude. What? Wait. Did y'all come out and don't lie? No, we did not. I'm gonna have to sleep with y'all. Why? Something's going on. Okay, yeah. I'm done.
If you watch closely, there's what looks like the top of someone's head, visible at the bottom of the stairs. She says she spotted it while she was standing up there at the landing. Later, when she went back through the video and paused it, she noticed the hair looked just like her husband's. The thing is, her husband had already left to get food and wasn't in the building when this was filmed. And if you listen carefully, there's what sounds like a quiet voice saying Mom. She says she kept the TV loud on purpose because she was scared, but could still hear that voice over it. A lot of people in the comments thought maybe it was one of the kids. She doesn't think so. She points out that they would have had to get out of bed, walk down the hall, and then get back into their room without her hearing anything. And when she went to check on them right after, they were still in the exact same positions. She also mentions that Missy, their dog, stayed tucked under the blankets the whole time and never moved. She says if the kids had actually gotten up, the dog definitely would have noticed. So, whether this was just a bunch of odd timing or something she still can't make sense of, the footage is hard to ignore. Gabby and Brandon are 2 investigators who travel across the country to look into hauntings that appear to be significant. The following clip was captured during an investigation at the infamous Chase Manor, where the family believed that something was residing inside the home. One of the stationary cameras recorded a very creepy incident. A shadow figure appears to manifest right in front of the door. Its outline seems almost see-through, but there also appears to be a darker shape that some viewers believe could be the apparition's head. This is considered one of Gabby and Brandon's best captures to date, and they still continue investigating. What do you think? Could this simply be a camera glitch? Or was something inexplicable captured here? Certainly a creepy incident. The following video was captured by a young woman who was recording the night sky with her friends. They had parked their car in the middle of nowhere when she noticed something strange moving across the screen.
Look at the stars. What the is that? Holy shit. What is that? What is...
A see-through figure appears to walk through the frame. According to the group, the figure then vanished into the sky and was never seen again. So, unless this was clever video editing, what could they have captured that night? How weird. This case involves the recording of a homeowner whose construction workers had reported something deeply unsettling. They'd been hearing what sounded like footsteps following them as they moved through the unfinished rooms, as if an unseen presence were walking alongside them during their workday. So the owner grabbed a camera and went to check it out himself. He wanted to see if there was any truth to what his crew had been reporting. What he ended up recording matched their story exactly.
Something kept bumping around up here. Sounded like somebody was walking across the floor. So today we're going to come check it out. See what it could be.
I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
Gaze upon them.
This isn't right. Wait and see.
It's kind of odd. As you see, nobody's here. I'm here by myself. Nobody's around. Every single room is empty. Close it. Nope, nobody. Nobody. See? Now who the hell is crazy now? Did you hear that thump? See, I'm here by myself. Nobody's here. Just me. What the hell? See, nobody's here. What the hell was that? Some brand new damn house. I'm losing my damn mind. Alright, we're not.
You can hear it clearly. Footsteps right alongside his, keeping pace like something's walking directly next to him, just outside the frame where he can't see it. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most disturbing evidence comes from the places we least expect to find it, and that what we capture on camera can confirm our worst suspicions. You may have seen Kitty's name before on the paranormal side of the internet. She's posted footage over the years that got a lot of attention. One clip caused enough controversy that TikTok took it down, but the activity she's been dealing with didn't stop there. Kitty claims that whatever is happening in her house has been going on for a long time. Strange sounds, things moving without explanation, and she says most of it seems to be coming from one particular part of the home, the basement.
I was just in the kitchen preparing dinner, and I heard something, and Willow jumped up and sat up on the couch growling, and I'll grab my phone real quick. I want to try to catch it while it's still doing it. That glass rope thing.
Back in 2025, she managed to catch something while standing at the kitchen sink. Here's the clip. Watch the cupboard door. It swings open on its own, and then something gets tossed out onto the counter. A second later, the door shuts again, just as suddenly. But Kitty says this kind of thing was far from the only issue she was dealing with at the time. The basement, she claims, was where things got worse. Heavy knocking sounds, items shifting around without being touched. She says it all seemed to be centered down there.
Guys, so I came down here because I just want to show you this real quick. That's my bowl that was sitting on the table there. That is my, breaks my heart, my good bowl. Pictures off the wall just sitting there. I came down here earlier to throw clothes into the dryer. As you can see, dryer's going, and I came back down just now to find this mess. We have our camera right there, so I am going to look at the camera footage and see what happened.
During that same event, her security camera was recording. Here's the footage from that angle.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are creating. Smart nutrition apps, inventory trackers, onboarding.
You can see a framed picture suddenly drop off the wall, and right after that, a bowl crashes down and hits the ground. According to Kitty, the strange and unsettling occurrences weren't limited to just that one day. In July of 2026, she uploaded a video that she describes as one of the most unnerving recordings she's made. That evening, she says she had a strong feeling that something or someone was down in the basement with her.
Okay, guys. Jamie's gone to get wood. My mom's asleep. What the fuck is going on? There's nobody here. There's nobody in that room. Hello? Cats are both upstairs. I already checked. I was hearing this from the kitchen. Hello? Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared to go in. Okay. Hello? This is Jaden's old room. We've had some issues recently with hearing knocking in here. Jaden has been using this as his workroom. But there's nobody here. There's nobody here. It's just all his work items. I've been using this closet for storage of like Christmas, Halloween. There's nothing in here. Nothing. I was down here doing laundry a little while ago and I thought I heard knocking in here, but leave me alone. The radio's on in here. I did not leave that radio on. That's a mess back there. Jamie was working, but I did not leave that radio on. Shit. My laundry. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Listen closely, and you'll hear what sounds like heavy knocking from somewhere in the room. She walks toward the sound to check, but when she gets there, nobody's visible. As she turns to leave, you can hear what sounds like footsteps trailing behind her. Then comes what might be the hardest part to write off. The radio in the laundry room switches on all by itself. There's no way to know for sure if all of this has a normal cause, or if something genuinely unexplainable is at work. What is clear though is that Kitty says none of this has gone away. The moment closes this part of the footage on an uneasy note, leaving the strange activity unresolved. Ted Gavin runs a channel focused entirely on luxury cars. One night, he's out cruising in his white Corvette, scouting for a good location to shoot some footage, when something appears on camera that genuinely spooks him. Keep your eyes on the road ahead.
What the freak was that? Oh my god! What the freak was that?
The lighting makes it tough to pick out what rattled him at first, but Tad mentions seeing what looked like a dark figure walking toward him from the roadside. Fortunately, he had another camera running inside the vehicle that caught a clearer view of whatever it was. This angle shows it better, a tall, shadowy shape moving right up close to the car as he blows past it. No real features you can make out, just this mass of solid darkness standing there on the shoulder. He says that after he passed it, the figure stopped moving and just stared at his vehicle as he drove away. Many viewers believe this is a bad omen, a sign that something bad may happen to him, like a car crash in the near future. But as always, let me know your thoughts on this one. A content creator who goes by Tan Meksunme says her house has been dealing with activity she can't explain. According to her, the whole thing started after she held a seance inside the home, and whatever she contacted apparently didn't leave. She did some digging online and found out the property was tied to a dark tragedy. A family had died there years ago, and when she tried reaching out to protective spirits, she may have accidentally woken up something she never could have imagined. The strange events kicked off when she started hearing sounds coming from her living room. She walked in to see what was going on, and that's when things got hard to ignore.
I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
啥声音啊？感谢大家。谢谢药。啊？嗯？啊？我操！嗯嗯，他妈，我。
You can see movement under the sheet on the floor. Whatever's beneath it starts pushing up and forming the outline of a person, like someone's crouched underneath and slowly standing. Then it lifts all the way up before collapsing flat again, as if nothing was ever there.
要买还是什么？我感应不到有几个，但是我知道他现在就在屋里面，但是我看不到。A260。我操！不是闹鬼了，上才艺了，家人们，这才艺得加钱。
A flute appears to hover in midair right in front of the sofa before it mysteriously falls to the ground. Could this really be paranormal activity, or was something else involved? Whatever the answer may be, this was not the only strange thing that happened.
一直是红的，我哥。身上有猫腻。你们的眼神都特别好啊。虎子，咬住啊！
She mentioned hearing odd sounds before this happened. The lit room in the background is her kitchen, and if you watch closely, a burst of flame appears out of nowhere. Then what looks like a head peeks out, ducks back, and the door slams by itself. By this point, you can tell she's genuinely shaken by what's been happening in the house. She's visibly terrified and doesn't seem to understand what she set off during that ritual a few nights earlier. The footage you're seeing right now was actually recorded during the seance, when she was trying to make contact with the family that died there.
喂点声能行吗？好不好？啊？
去哪儿啊？不是我看它干啥？我发现它会动。你的意思是同意了？同意了。我明天带蜡烛带香你。你跟我说整两句呗，行吗？你告诉我点信息。出来一下吧。哎呦我操！长那么高干啥呀？我想问你一个事儿啊，你的脸怎么能那么长啊？不是，干啥？有点太突然了。不是，哦，脸太长，你把那个脸长好，你这是瓜子脸，好看。那个我觉得你也。
Watch what happens in this clip. The shape in the background seems to be copying her movements. Either way, the figure appears to be reacting directly to what she's doing. This particular video is why a lot of people online are calling the whole thing staged. They're asking how it's possible for something paranormal to move in sync like that with the person filming. But if you look through the comment section, most of which is in Chinese, plenty of users are insisting it's legitimate. They say spirits in that region of Asia are known to interact this way. The disturbing part comes when the figure becomes almost fully visible. It looks like it's dressed in black, with pale skin and extremely long hair. Some viewers believe this might be the person responsible for what happened in the house all those years ago. Her face appears pale in the videos and her hair is noticeably long. Her recent uploads don't feature anything paranormal anymore, so it's unclear if the activity stopped or if she just decided to move on. A mother on TikTok uploaded some really unsettling footage from the night of October 16th, 2025. Her little girl has been experiencing night terrors for months now, and that particular night, she made the decision to film one of the episodes as it was actually happening. What the camera picked up went way beyond a bad dream.
Looking for an easier way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brands. Just go to their site, enter your LLC state, choose your business name, answer a few questions, and that's it. Now your business has tax flexibility and personal asset protection. Plus, it's approved by the state. And it took you what, 3 minutes?
As business owners, we can't waste any time. That's the advantage of using Taylor Brands. They get you your time back.
Taylor Brands handles everything from forming an LLC, your EIN, opening a business bank account.
Don't be scared, baby. Come on, you're a big girl. I'll be a big girl. You're a big girl. It's okay. There's the vent right there, baby. See? The vent pushes the door. You're fine, okay? Are you a big girl? If you're scared, just remember, baby Lenny's here, mommy's here. We're all gonna be together in the same house. It's gonna be okay. Let's go to bed. What's wrong, Cora? Sweetie, what are you afraid of? You're scaring me, honey. I don't see anything.
Without anyone touching it, the bedroom door starts to swing open on its own. Then, in perfect unison, every single blind hanging over the bed suddenly snaps closed, all at the exact same moment. The mother eventually stepped in to provide some clarification. These are traditional wooden blinds with no modern features whatsoever. There are no motors installed, no remote control system, and no master cord to operate them all at once. If you want them closed, you have to manually shut each individual slat one by one. The reaction on that little girl's face feels pretty real to me. Kids usually aren't great actors at that age, and that fear looks completely genuine. So the question really comes down to whether this is something actually paranormal, or if the whole thing was somehow carefully staged by the adults. That part's entirely up to you to decide. Late one night, a guy on a motorbike was riding alone through empty streets, filming his trip with a 360-degree camera. He posted the video to Instagram, and within days it racked up more than 13 million views. He says he was just recording a normal ride. It wasn't until he went back through the footage that he spotted something strange, a detail he'd completely missed while he was actually on the road. According to him, no one else was on that bike during the entire journey, and he insists he was completely alone the whole time. But right at the beginning of the video, you can clearly see what looks like the shadow of a girl sitting behind him on the seat. Then, when the angle switches and the camera captures him from the front, the seat behind him is completely empty. No passenger, no explanation. Since the video went viral, people have tried to come up with reasons for what appears in the footage, but most viewers think it might actually be something paranormal. A man was driving his car along a lonely path through the middle of a forest when he decided to film what happened. At first, everything seemed perfectly normal, but then without warning, his car stopped by itself. The headlights went out completely, and the entire area was plunged into darkness.
I am back.
Seconds later, the engine roared back to life and the headlights blazed on, illuminating a scene.
Okay. There we go. Alright. Just was talking to a friend about what happened last night, so yeah. But anyways, let's finish up on the story.
That left him deeply unsettled.
Well, the videos. Oh shit, I saw that. Oh yeah, I definitely saw that.
I am the center of the universe.
Standing just off the road was a figure he described as almost see-through, shimmering unnaturally. Within seconds, it bolted into the dense trees and vanished. He says it didn't move like any animal he'd ever seen, and the encounter left him deeply unsettled. The comment section immediately latched onto the timing. The car dying right before this figure showed up. Some viewers are convinced the two events are connected, that whatever was out there might have caused the shutdown, whether it's just a strange coincidence or something genuinely unexplainable. The footage leaves a lot of questions. In April 2024, a worker was finishing his shift and heading out for the night. Security footage from the company entrance captured him walking toward his car, and at first, everything looks normal. But what the camera picks up next has left people trying to figure out what actually happened.
Wait, I swear to you by God, Glade. I swear to you by God, the Lord asked me where the pine tree was. I swear to you by God, Glade. The Lord approached me and asked, oh, excuse me, where's the pine tree? And for that reason, the word I had to cross and say more below.
The man stops and appears to be talking with someone across the street. When the footage is carefully reviewed, no one is visible at that location. After seeing the recording for himself, he expresses deep shock and insists he was speaking to a real person who was standing directly in front of him. When viewers slowed the clip down, they noticed something even stranger. Right as the man stops, a pale, almost see-through shape seems to move across the frame in front of him. Some people think this mysterious figure might be connected to whoever or whatever he thought he was talking to out there.
Alright, guys. Alright. I know this is not the typical stream, but I haven't anyway, I just haven't been able to, get back to this, just trying to find myself and see what I want to do with the stream. So, of course, I want a game.
Didn't Sappy have problems?
Yeah, he has to get the memory and stuff. He said that I think he's going to do it this coming up check or next check or however checks. So then he can play Power World with us. Yeah. Well, I know chat would like to know when they can, if they want to get on the server.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, so chat, anybody that is interested in joining the Power World server, because I had to check with hubby first. So yeah, y'all can hop in the server. So the next time I play, I'll have the server name up. But yeah. But server name is, what is the server name? Ready the Pow Bros or something. But it does have a password.
Password?
Yeah.
Were you gonna keep it with the password? Or no? Or yes?
It's called Ready the Pals, bro.
Ready the Pals, bro. Yes.
Ready the Pals, bro.
Yes. But yeah. I do miss the spooky videos. So I really like watching spooky videos. I love the paranormal. So I do want to bring back spooky video night. Last night there was a lot of negative energy, and I couldn't go on last night, so I couldn't continue because I was upset. So there's personal stuff going on, but yeah, everything's okay. Just needing to set boundaries, and that's good because you have to set boundaries with people. So let's see. I do have Mr. Creep, but we can go with Some slapped ham.
Keep on working.
All right, and I like another reason. Hey, what up, Spirit? How are you doing? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Yeah, I can only do the watch videos on here on the purple app, on the green app, and then on the red app. So I'm looking for a video. Okay, yeah. Mira, te digo. Or you know what? Because I do like to have the videos built up. So okay, like I'll do this one from a month ago. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Do you love horror, or are you just dropping by to say hey? Oh wait, there we go. All right, but because I don't know, sometimes like people are just like, oh no, I can't watch scary stuff, and if it's too scary, you know, you don't have to watch it. But this is interesting to me, and not scary. If I was in these situations, it would be it would be a different story. But we're watching people go through some shit, some spooky shit. So let's go. No, I'm not going in there.
That disembodied screaming is just one of many deeply unsettling things happening inside this home. The footage was shared on TikTok by user Experiment Insomnia, and it all began back in 2016 when he captured his first strange clip.
Oh shit. Let me know, do you guys believe in the paranormal or not?
Since then, the scary videos coming out of this house haven't stopped. It starts with the dog. Ragnar is normally calm, but he won't go near the garage. He backs up, he paces, he refuses to go down there.
Actually, let me do this. I hear it.
The owner says Ragnar started acting like this in the middle of the night, barking at the door and growing frightened whenever he tried to coax him toward the garage. He'd offer the dog treats. Ragnar wouldn't budge.
Oh, that's crazy.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking of...
Man, if somebody something was trying to lure my dog, my baby, trying to lure my baby into the basement to eat or whatever, like, look, that is so crazy. I'm throwing salt hands. Let's go. What would you guys do? That's crazy. You're like, what the fuck? Because it was floating, and now it's gone. Okay. Oh, see? That ain't the win. The dog's gone. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I muted it because I muted it for the commercials and I forgot to unmute it. My bad, y'all. But you see that shit. You see that shit.
Things escalate in this footage. While working from home, the OP catches this. He goes to investigate. The garage is empty. No person, no pets, no animals, nothing that could throw a shadow like that. Then comes the night the screaming started. He was up at 1 a.m. getting a glass of water when he heard it. Sound like a child screaming.
Oh, damn.
The screaming continues into a second clip. It seems to be coming
Do
from
a
the
poll.
garage.
I'm interested in your answers. You can do it if you want, if not, no worries. That's crazy.
He opens the door and the screaming stops immediately. The owner thinks all of this might be linked to something the family found when they first moved in. A doll tucked away in a drawer. They
That's
never
it.
went near it because his wife found it unsettling.
Mm-hmm. And you
When he
broke
finally
something
looked
off on
closer,
the
he noticed the small
doll.
ornamental bag stitched to it. Inside the bag were teeth.
Oh, oh, teeth. Oh, yeah. Nope. When you saw one.
One day, he went up to the dining room to work when a security camera caught something odd happening outside.
Oh. Yeah, I would throw it. I would throw that bag. Okay, let's see. Yeah, no. Yep, no.
Things escalate further when the homeowner hears some strange noises late at night and starts filming. Listen closely around the 29-second mark. Footsteps. And then, beneath the kitchen bench, this happens.
¿Estás aquí?
Oh, hell no. No.
So what's going on here? 10 years on, the activity in this house still hasn't stopped, and the family is still living alongside whatever it is that screams from the garage at night.
I like how he says garage. Love it. That screaming was crazy. Mm-mm.
This is the most relaxing survival game of 2026. In Tiles Survive,
That looks interesting. But
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2.
Oh, damn.
You might already know the name Mackenzie Sharilla. Her case
don't.
became national news, and it's the subject of the recent Netflix documentary, The Crash. In July 2022, in
Crash.
Strongsville, Ohio, Sharilla, then 17, drove her car into a brick building at high
Oh,
speed.
God.
Her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and their friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan, were both killed.
Damn.
Sharilla survived. In 2023, a judge found the crash was intentional and convicted her of murder. She's serving 15 years to life. That's the case most people know. Here's the part fewer people have heard. When new body cam footage was released, viewers listening closely to one section noticed something they say shouldn't be there. It comes from inside the footage as an officer speaks to Sharilla at the scene. The officer tells her he isn't going to hurt her. Listen to what comes next.
Okay.
If we play that back amplified, it sounds like a faint voice whispering, "She killed us."
Oh, damn.
The whisper was reportedly first pointed out by Dom's sister, and once people heard it, the debate started. Some are convinced the officer heard it too, because a moment later he says something that sounds like, "What was that?"
Okay.
Yeah, he does say, "What was that?"
Others aren't so sure. Listen to plainly, without amplification, the officer may simply be asking Sharilla if she's okay. And a faint, distorted sound on body cam audio is exactly the kind of thing the human ear will shape into words. So is this just audio pareidolia, the mind finding a voice in the noise? Or did a body camera at the scene of a tragedy pick up something no one can fully explain?
Okay. Every morning, 3:45
That's crazy.
a.m.
Yep.
3:45 in the morning, the same time every single day. That's when the gas station attendant in this next clip says it appears. Keep your eyes between the petrol pumps around the 18-second mark.
Oh, there he is. There he is, I told you.
There what is? Am I not?
It can be hard to see at first, so here it is after we've brightened it right up.
There he is. There he is,
Oh, okay.
I told you. He is.
Could barely see it, yeah.
I told you.
A figure moving right to left, passing between the pumps. It's faint, easy to miss, but once you've seen it, it's hard to unsee.
There he is, I told you. I told you.
And according to the attendant, this isn't a one-off. It happens every morning. Same path, same direction, at exactly 3:45.
Well, they have their routine.
There he is, I told you. I told you. So, back up here on the 4th floor, yet again.
An empty hospital late at night. The wards are dark, the corridors are silent, and the only person walking them is the one holding the camera. His name is Seabram, and he works the night shift as an orderly. For a while now, he's been documenting what he believes is following him through the building. And
would you guys actually work the night shift at a hospital? And if you do, I know you got some spooky stories. I know. So
it always seems to find him in the same kinds of places, the rooms everyone else avoids.
Right to the right is.
Holy shit! They don't know how to play the piano.
It starts with a housekeeping cupboard. Sebram has heard the rumors about this room. He expects to find it locked. It isn't.
So they said what you do is turn off the light and then just wait. But I'm not about to stand in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the light and then.
He shows the empty cupboard, switches off the light, and steps back outside.
And going under.
Still staying up late gaming solo with Hacko AI.
Yeah, I'm not paying for premium. All right, we're on the other side. I hear breathing. Oh, hell no.
Listen closely. There's a low sound in the dark, like something breathing.
Yeah, no.
Tell me if y'all see or hear anything.
I didn't agree to be on this journey with you. This is some bullshit. Okay. I heard breathing.
On the 5th floor, he says he always gets a weird vibe.
this floor makes me feel uneasy all the time. I never feel good up here. So you see, it's just me.
It's that person that probably passed away in that
I
room.
just want to hurt something, not.
That's got that negative energy on it, or several
As Sebram
people.
walks the corridor, he hears it.
Ooh, yep, nope.
He swipes his card and opens the door straight away. The room is empty. There's no one inside.
Could
And
not
here's what
have
makes it
this
strange. He
job.
demonstrates that the handle can only be rattled from the inside. Working the outer handle does nothing to the one within. So whatever was shaking that handle had to have been standing in the room. The same room he'd just shown was empty.
When you move the handle, that handle doesn't move. And this handle, it locks. Okay?
Then there's the supply cupboard again. After his first clip went viral, Sebram promised viewers he'd go back in there. He turns off the lights and stands in the dark.
Here we go. Okay. There's a door there.
That's when he hears it.
You can't really see, but you get what I'm saying. I'm talking so that way you can hear. What the hell?
A bell tinkling softly out of nowhere.
I'm talking so that way you can hear. What the hell?
Yep.
The hospital does have a bell. It sits out in the corridor, the kind patients ring when they're cleared to go home, or when they've beaten something like cancer. A small ritual to mark good news.
This is the bell I was talking about yesterday. That was what we heard.
But that bell is nowhere near the supply cupboard, and
Right.
it rang anyway.
That was what we heard. And that shit was
Then the camera catches this.
So creepy.
Oh shit!
Oh no.
No.
Which brings us to the chapel.
Is this before or
Of all
after
the
he
places
said
in the
no?
hospital, Sebram says the chapel holds the most. The most pain, the most grief, the most
Yeah.
goodbyes.
It does.
And it's the spot with the most reports of things moving on their own and
Of
sounds
course it
with
is.
no source.
Because people say that crazy things happen here all the time.
One night, walking the hallway outside, he hears a piano playing.
Not even good either. Like, damn.
He's went back in the room.
He heads inside. The chapel is quiet, nothing out of place. So he sits down and he waits.
Just wait.
Yeah. Oh.
Holy hell, that scared the hell out of me.
He spins around.
nope.
There's no one at the keys, nothing that could have touched them. And then, on the wall, he watches his own shadow move.
Is that my shadow?
That's somebody. That's something
shadow on the
else.
wall, is that just me?
Wait, what? Wait.
Sebram still works there. He still walks
you
those
crazy.
corridors every night, camera in
crazy.
hand. Whatever's been keeping pace with him through the dark hasn't left. And in a building this full of endings, you have to wonder how much of it never really checked out.
True. Very true.
What the?
I hope you guys are enjoying this. Because I miss watching videos of y'all.
ये नारियल हिलने लगा है.
Over on Instagram, user Wasted posted a clip of a man on live television who claims he can levitate objects with his mind. And right there in the studio, in front of the
You
cameras,
can
a coconut
clearly see
rises up
those.
and hovers in the air.
There's wires.
हर चीज का एक समय होता है. नहीं
There's
इस समय में ये
wires.
स्टूडियो में अभी लाइव करके दिखा रहे हैं.
The host is loving it. A genuine miracle broadcast live.
जो आपने चलाया था ऐसे पकड़ के भी दिखा दिया. और
There's just one small problem. This was filmed in 4K. Watch the close-up.
रुक जाइए, झूल जाइए. प्रश्नों का उत्तर भी देगा ये. क्या बात है?
Yeah, that's fishing line.
Yeah.
एकदम रुक जाइए, झूल जाइए, प्रश्नों का उत्तर भी देगा ये।
They didn't know I was going to see it. Yeah.
As the caption so beautifully puts it, Bro Forgot cameras are in 4K now.
Right. Now, back in the day, you would have had us fooled. But that's a 4K camera.
10 years ago, on a grainy old broadcast, this might have fooled a few people. Today, you can count the strands. Sorry, Baba. Better luck next time.
की तरह ऊपर नीचे जो आपने चलाया था ऐसे पकड़ के भी दिखा दिया। और यहाँ देखिए, यहीं पे रोकूंगा हवा में। यहीं स्टॉप, एकदम रुक जाइए, झूल जाइए, प्रश्नों का उत्तर भी देगा ये। क्या बात है?
I accidentally went to the most haunted room alone. That's how this next one begins.
Abraham Lincoln united a nation that was deep.
But tomorrow I will be getting into a game. Not really sure what it is yet. I'm disappointed about my chameleon because of the malware stuff, because I love my custom maps, and it's just I can only play, I don't know how many maps that they have for them on their own, but I really love playing the custom maps. So I don't know. I don't know about Mecha Chameleon anymore right now. So yeah.
Hello?
It was shared on Instagram by Amanda, who says she was staying at a quaint little bed and breakfast when she found herself in its most haunted room, by herself.
So I do have a little voice recorder here. If you'd like to chat at all, I'll put it down on this table here. Let's see here. I'll play the recorder.
She sets a small voice recorder down on a table, then she starts to talk to the room.
Feel free. Thought I heard something over there.
What, you want cracker?
Is there anyone up here with me?
She asks the questions you'd expect. Is anyone here? Am I alone? Am I safe?
Am I alone in here? Am I safe in here?
Then off camera, something happens. A sound. A book has fallen from the shelf.
I'm gonna stop the recording. A weird deja vu. Oh, Jesus.
A little later, the camera is back on the bookshelf.
Yeah. Go back. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Thank you.
A second book slides loose, falls, and tumbles to the floor. Now, there are ordinary explanations for a book coming off a shelf.
Really?
An overloaded ledge, a slight lean, a floor that carries every footstep through an old building. Give a tired old shelf enough time and gravity does the rest. But here's the part Amanda keeps coming back to, and it's in the audio.
A weird deja vu. Oh, Jesus.
At one point, she says out loud that she's getting a strange sense of deja vu. And when she plays the recorder back, the timing is deeply odd. Her recorded voice seems to react to the first book falling before the book actually falls.
That's the thing. Like, nothing's over there. There's no wind. Like, come on now. Okay, let's get colors.
On the playback, she hears herself say she thought she heard something over there, a moment too early.
I'm gonna stop the recording. A weird deja vu. Oh, Jesus.
It may simply be that she's playing the recording back at just the right moment, lining up by chance with what's happening in the room, a trick of timing. Or, for a few seconds in that little room, the recorder was running a step ahead of everyone else.
A weird deja vu. Oh, Jesus. Mm. Oh.
This scary video was shared on TikTok by Black Hills Paranormal, who says it was caught by a close friend on their home security camera. No edits, just watch closely. And then this. A transparent figure crosses the kitchen, moving right to left before it's gone.
I could definitely see that. Oh yeah.
Skeptics might point to the way night vision plays tricks. A reflection off a glossy fridge, a passing headlight, an insect drifting close to the lens. On grainy footage, the eye fills in the rest. But that doesn't sit right with the friend who recorded it. According to the uploader, they pulled the footage the very next morning. And to this day, they have no way of explaining what their camera caught crossing the kitchen while they slept.
There's always going to be skeptics. So, if you guys don't believe in it, that's fine. But that is definitely a ghost.
Something fell out of the sky behind this volcano, and moments later, something rose back up.
Oh.
This footage was posted to Reddit's High Strangeness by user Sherlock Smith, and it's been spreading fast ever since.
Oh, that's
The setting
definitely
is
a
Mayan
UFO.
Volcano in the Philippines, one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. On the night of the 25th of May 2026, it was mid-eruption, red lava spilling down its slopes. And then, at 10:33 PM, the sky lit up too. A bright object rises up, climbing back into the sky, going up from exactly where something just came down.
So what do you guys think it is? Me? I feel like it is a UFO because nothing just like floats in the sky and it's rather bright when you're looking at it. Oh, damn it. Yes. Yeah.
It didn't take long for the theories to start. A meteor strike, a secret impact, and inevitably a UFO fleeing the scene the moment the fireball hit. So let's go through what we actually know. The footage is real. The official volcano monitoring camera caught it alongside live streams and dash cams from cars in the area. The streak of green light was a meteor, a so-called fireball, entering the atmosphere. That part isn't in dispute. Even the country's Volcanology Institute initially announced the meteor had struck the volcano's northern slopes, but they quickly issued a correction. After reviewing seismic data, infrasound readings, and footage from other cameras, they confirmed the meteor never reached the ground at all. It disintegrated high in the atmosphere the way the vast majority of meteors do. So there was no impact, and that leaves the object that rose up afterwards. According to Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, the explanation is almost mundane. He believes the rising light is a satellite passing overhead at that exact moment, catching the sunlight and reflecting it back down as a glint. Not something launching out of the volcano, just a trick of timing and perspective. A satellite in orbit lining up perfectly with the spot where the meteor vanished. But UFO enthusiasts aren't buying it. To them, the satellite theory is a little too convenient. What they see is simpler and far stranger. A meteor crashing down to Earth behind the mountain, and then an unidentified object lifting off and flying away from the very same spot.
God damn it. There. Keep muting myself. The son's talking and the video's going. So, I was just saying, basically, like, okay, you skeptics out there, it's okay, but I remember the government saying that there are supernatural things in this world and aliens. Believe me or not, I don't care. But they said it. I already knew it was fucking true, but they're admitting it. They're admitting it. And sooner or later, things are going to get captured. People are going to, people are having similar stories, seeing the same shit. Like, it's not a hallucination. It's not.
A coincidence of orbiting hardware and sunlight,
dinosaurs.
or something that came down and then chose to leave? Watch it back and see what your eyes want to believe. First up, the disclosure community spent months waiting for the US government to come clean about UFOs. What they got instead was a prank. On the 28th of May 2026, the Trump White House quietly launched a website at the domain aliens.gov, teasing it on X with a 10-second video and 3 words: "They walk among us." For a few hours, the UFO world lit up, convinced this was the official portal they'd been promised. Then people actually clicked through. The site redirects to a page on the White House's own domain that opens with, quote, "For 60 years, the US government has kept a closely guarded secret." But it isn't about extraterrestrials. It's an immigration enforcement page complete with a live map of ICE arrests and a tip line to report, quote,
"Oh, damn.
Suspicious aliens." The disclosure crowd had been trolled in writing by their own government. Sticking with non-human intelligence, but taking a hard turn into the religious. On the 29th of May, Tucker Carlson released a conversation running nearly 2 hours with Father Stephen DeYoung, an Orthodox priest from Lafayette, Louisiana. The subject, that the Nephilim, the mysterious giants mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, are not only real, but are demonic hybrids occupying positions of authority in society right now.
Fucking knew it. Oh my gosh. Because that makes fucking sense.
DeYoung walked through ancient flood myths, the idea that human technology was handed to us by demons, and the claim that these bloodlines never fully disappeared. It's being called one of the most widely shared Nephilim discussions in years, and it's landed right as the wider UFO conversation keeps circling the same unsettling question. What if the intelligence behind all this was never extraterrestrial at all? Which brings us neatly to a theory that's quietly been taking over the UFO conversation. It's called the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, and the idea is simple, but deeply strange. What if UFO occupants aren't visitors from another planet, but an ancient, hidden population that has shared the Earth with us all along, living underground, beneath the oceans, or even disguised and walking among us? The term was coined by the late writer Mac Tonnies in his book The Crypto-Terrestrials, and for years it sat on the fringe. But recently it's been resurfacing everywhere, even getting a serious write-up from academics willing to argue it should be considered alongside the alien theory. Because if you can't prove they came from space, the next question is uncomfortable. What if they were here first?
Exactly. I gotta check something. I gotta check these out.
And finally, from the hidden to the unmistakable. On Saturday, the 30th of May 2026, just after 2 in the afternoon, a meteor exploded in the skies off the coast of Massachusetts. NASA later confirmed it was around 5 feet wide, weighed roughly 5.5 tons, and slammed into the atmosphere before breaking apart over Cape Cod Bay, releasing energy estimated at around 300 tons of TNT. The double boom and shockwave were felt across 6 states, with reports flooding in from as far apart as Delaware and Montreal. People reported windows rattling, homes shaking, and pets bolting for cover. And here's the part worth noting. The American Media Society has been quietly logging an unusual surge in large fireballs and sonic booms through 2026, including a mysterious blast over South Carolina just one day earlier, on the 29th of May, that officials still haven't fully explained. That's your rapid fire round. Now back to the countdown. At first, there's nothing strange about this one at all. This scary video was shared on TikTok by TUS.me2, and it shows a group of people singing together outdoors.
Oh, dude,
an ordinary
disappeared.
moment, easy to scroll right past. Then the camera pans. There, standing among them, is a small girl. Long dark hair hanging over her face, a white dress, and no more than half the height of everyone around her. If she looks familiar, it's because she's the spitting image of the classic long-haired ghost, the one from The Ring. Nobody in the group seems to notice her, they just keep singing as if there's nothing standing in their midst at all. Maybe it's a trick of the angle.
Bullshit.
A child half hidden in the crowd, shrunk by perspective. But the longer you look at her, standing there among the singers with her face behind that curtain of dark hair, the harder she is to explain away.
Gente, tem alguma coisa acontecendo lá fora, ó.
Skeleton.
Ó, esse aqui é o alerta das aves.
This one didn't start with lights in the sky, it started with the animals. On the 31st of May 2026, on a rural property in Campo Largo in the state of Paraná, Brazil, an influencer named Mike Leal woke to find his animals deeply unsettled, agitated, spooked by something he couldn't see.
Ih, gente, tem alguma coisa lá embaixo. Olha os cavalos também. Ih. Ai, gente, será que é a onça?
You have nice tattoos.
Ó.
Make isn't a UFO hunter. He's known for a quiet life in the country, looking after the roughly 280 rescued animals he keeps on his land. This was not his usual kind of content.
Yes, it's a cockroach,
Then
yeah.
he found the damage. His electric fence had been knocked down,
It's
and
okay,
he couldn't
they
work
caught
out what could have done it. That's when the sound started. Coming from the tree line, a strange low noise. Meg struggled to describe it. He said it was like someone choking or breathing, like a rope being pulled tight until it snapped, and it seemed to be moving closer.
Yes.
On camera, he says he's too scared to go down toward the woods, that he's locking the animals away, that he's thinking of leaving for the city.
Gente, eu juro por Deus, eu gravei algo muito louco aqui agora, tá? Eu acabei de ligar pra minha mãe.
And then after dark, he says he finds the source of the sound, up above the trees.
Pera aí, gente, o celular não vai focar muito, tá longe. Olha, gente. Vocês estão vendo isso?
A cluster of lights hanging over the ridge, blinking, shifting color, yellow, blue, red.
Olha ali, que lindo. Gente, eu não sei o que é isso, vocês estão vendo? Ó.
Maker's beside himself. He says it's no plane, that it's sitting motionless over the river in the middle of nowhere. He claims the object is a vast structure, somewhere between 50 and 70 meters across, shaped almost like an eye, with a red glow beneath it.
Ó. Tem algo ali em cima piscando muito.
And this is where we have to be honest with you, because the footage has been hailed by some as the best scary video of a UFO in years. But when you actually watch it, that's a hard claim to back up. What you can see is a small, soft cluster of distant lights smeared by a phone camera straining to focus in the dark.
Yeah, I can't really see anything.
A lot of the frustration in the comments comes down to one simple thing. He filmed the whole encounter on his phone's low-quality front-facing camera, the selfie lens, instead of flipping it around to the far sharper camera on the back. The one moment you'd want crystal clarity, and we're left with a blurry smudge of light.
Gente, ali não tem estrada, não tem serra, não tem nada, tá, gente? Pelo amor.
But the footage is only half of why this story exploded, because of what happened next. Make posted a document to his Instagram, an official-looking summons, supposedly from ABIN, Brazil's national intelligence agency. In it, a person identifying themselves as an agent requests a private meeting to discuss his case. The wording is careful, even reassuring. It says the purpose is to, quote, secure his constitutional rights as a Brazilian citizen and to advise him on possible contact from international intelligence agencies. It lists a registration number and even tells him how to verify the message through the agency's official portal.
Okay.
To his hundreds of thousands of new followers, this was extraordinary. The intelligence services quietly reaching out, confirmation that something real had happened on that hillside. There was just one problem. The ABIN flatly denied all of it. The agency told Brazilian media it had never contacted Make, and that it did not recognize the document he'd shared as genuine.
Okay.
The summons, in other words, was a fake. And once one piece of a story turns out to be invented, it's only natural to start questioning the rest.
True.
So let's lay out the skeptical case because it's substantial. The Brazilian Air Force checked their records for the night of the 31st of May and stated plainly that no object was detected on air defense radar and nothing unusual was reported by any local airport. The lights themselves are distant, blurry and consistent with any number of ordinary explanations, from aircraft to drones to lights on a far-off hill. The dramatic details, the 50-meter eye-shaped craft, the mechanical sound exist only in Make's description, not in anything the camera actually captured. And the one document that elevated this from a viral clip to a government-level mystery has been confirmed as a forgery.
Gente, ali não tem estrada, não tem serra, não tem nada, tá, gente? Pelo amor de Deus, eu não sei o que é.
Well, if it is false, which, you know, a lot of people can and have faked, and then, you know, like, these things, yes, can be fake, but when they're true, when they're real, it's like, holy shit. Because these things do exist. Humans have not, it's not just us, humans, that exist on this world, in this universe, period. So, but you're gonna believe what you want to believe. Everyone has their own opinion.
Make gain. In the space of a few days, he went from around 40,000 followers to more than 800,000. A modest animal rescue account transformed overnight into one of the most talked about profiles in the country. And yet, not everything has a tidy answer. The animals really were distressed. The fence really was down. Make's fear, his anxiety, the calls to his mother, all of it reads as genuine to many who've watched it. He has continued to insist he faked nothing and says he's been targeted by threats and abuse for simply sharing what he saw. And to this day, no official...
Because the thing is, they want to cover it up, but the thing is, it's out. It's out there. He should have flipped his camera, but hey.
Explanation has been offered for the lights over that ridge. So what are we left with? A frightened man, a forged document, a blurry light, and a story that grew far beyond the footage that started it.
Vocês estão vendo isso, galera? Olha, eu não consigo aproximar mais.
We'll lay it all out and let you be the judge. A genuine encounter, clumsily filmed and wrapped in one bad decision, or a viral sensation built on a sound in the dark and a smudge of light over the trees.
Tem muitas luzes, gente. Olha, não dá para aproximar, o celular não consegue, tá muito longe da minha casa. Gente, olha, ele tá se movimentando.
Before we get to that #1 spot, remember to hit that subscribe button, then tickle that little bell icon there and turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll be in the loop every time we drop our scary and mysterious videos.
Heck yeah. Definitely subscribe if you are enjoying.
In the entire history of the Spanish National Police, there is one report unlike any other. It documents banging from empty rooms, a crucifix turned upside down, and a locked door that opened on its own in front of trained officers. It is widely regarded as the first and only official police document in Spain to record events its authors could not explain. This is the Vallecas case, and it began, as these stories so often do, with a teenage girl and a Ouija board.
Of course.
Her name was Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro. She was the eldest of 4 children living with her family in a modest apartment at number 8 Calle Luis Marin in the working-class Vallecas district of Madrid. By most accounts, she was around 18 years old, and she had developed a quiet fascination with the occult. One day at school, Estefania and a couple of friends slipped away with a Ouija board. One of the girls was grieving a boyfriend who'd recently been killed in a motorcycle accident, and they wanted to reach him. But before the session could finish, a teacher discovered them and broke the board apart on the spot. In the years since, one detail has been repeated again and again. The girls claimed that as the board shattered, a strange grey smoke rose from it, and that Estefania breathed it in. Whatever the truth of that moment, what followed is not in dispute. Estefania's health began to collapse. She suffered insomnia, then hallucinations, then violent seizures. She told her family she was seeing things. Tall, hooded figures with no faces, standing at the edge of her vision, beckoning her to come with them. Doctors examined her repeatedly. None could explain what was happening to her.
I fixed it.
Then, in 1991, only months after that broken seance, Estefania died in hospital. The official cause was recorded as pulmonary asphyxia brought on by a convulsion. She was just 18 years old. For the Gutierrez Lazaro family, the loss alone was devastating, but it was after Estefania's death that the apartment on Calle Luis Marin truly came alive. It started small, the way these things do, then it grew impossible to ignore. The family heard banging from inside the walls, doors opened and closed on their own, objects moved when no one was near them. Estefania's mother said she heard her dead daughter's voice, screaming for her from empty rooms. Laughter, low and male, echoed through the flat with no source. The children began waking in the night. On more than one occasion, they said their wrists were wrenched up and slammed against the wall by something they couldn't see. The mother awoke one night to the feeling of pressure bearing down on her, and then a pair of hands closing around her feet and her arm. And then there was the photograph, a picture of Estefania hung in the living room. One day it caught fire, but the frame and the glass were left untouched. Only the part of the image showing her face had burned. For years, the family endured it. They turned to so-called experts who offered little but empty promises. And then, late in November 1992, more than a year after Estefania's death, the activity became so unbearable that the head of the household did something families in these stories almost never do. He called the police. In the early hours, a patrol led by Chief Inspector Jose Pedro Negri arrived at the building. They expected, most likely, a routine noise complaint. Instead, they found the entire family huddled outside in the cold, too frightened to go back inside their own home.
The crowd is good. Record broken. Everyone's screaming. Then it was my turn. I walked to the gate in my full pleated jacket. No equipment, no people. The crowd noticed me immediately. A staff member asked if I was
And his officers entered, and this is the part that has fascinated believers and skeptics alike for over 30 years, because the men who wrote what came next were not paranormal investigators. They were career police officers professionally trained to distrust exactly this kind of claim. In his report, Negri described sitting with the family when a cabinet door, one they had checked and found securely shut, swung open in a way he could only call unnatural. In one of the bedrooms, the officers found a wooden crucifix turned upside down, the figure of Christ torn from it. A poster on the wall developed fresh scratch marks as they watched, and entering the bathroom, said to be the epicenter of it all, the inspector described an oppressive cold and a sensation he struggled to put into words. The report he filed has since become something close to legend in Spain, sober, measured, written in the flat official language of law enforcement, and yet describing things that simply should not be possible. Now, in fairness, Negri himself later offered a note of caution. He admitted that the cabinet door was essentially the only phenomenon the officers directly witnessed with their own eyes. Much of the rest had happened before they arrived, recounted by a grieving, terrified family. Skeptics have pointed to the years of unverified claims, to the inconsistencies in the story, even to the suggestion that grief and the satanic panic of the era had primed everyone involved to see the supernatural in the ordinary. And yet, a door that opens against its own lock in front of 4 police officers is not so easily dismissed. Whatever it was enough to rattle men who had seen almost everything.
Oh yeah.
The Gutierrez Lazaro family never found peace in that apartment. In the end, they did the only thing left to them.
Yep,
they
you
packed
gotta
up
leave.
and they moved away.
Yeah, fuck it.
The case went on to inspire films and documentaries, and the address on Calle Luis Marin became one of the most infamous in the country. But strip all of that away, and what remains is starker and sadder. A teenage girl who reached out to the dead and never came back the same. A family who lived in fear for years. And a single police report sitting in an archive in Madrid that admits in plain black ink that something happened in that apartment which no one has ever been able to fully explain.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know people are skeptical. Do you have your own opinions? People have their own opinions. But for my supernatural people out there that like know or have experienced, because we all have our different experiences. Because that like, no faking, those are documentations that, you know, that's you know, that I don't know what year it was, but that's before the internet. So like, hey, that's real. I'm sorry for that family. That sucks. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we could do this one. Top scary videos. Top 13. Ooh, and then we should do a nukes top 5. Hell yeah. I think his chest did one thing. He drove my sword into himself. Again. The dark yeah. 200,000 years. I will probably have spooky, scary videos. We can do that like a Friday thing. We can do it like a Friday thing. But yeah.
It's midnight in a rented condo near Corpus Christi, Texas, and this woman is searching every room in the house for a voice that shouldn't exist.
Something's going on.
The scary video was shared on TikTok by Julia Gulia1122, and the backstory makes the panic make sense. Her family had just come back from a late-night beach trip in the Port Aransas area. Her husband headed out for snacks, leaving her alone in the upstairs living room with a movie on. That's when she started hearing it, a voice calling out over the TV. She heard it 3 times before she even started recording. And each time it sounded like the same word, Mum.
Who says I'm judging you? Oh my God. Can you hear noises this time? I just heard somebody say Mom.
Her kids were downstairs, asleep in their room. Another family member was asleep upstairs. Nobody was calling for her. Then she rounds the corner and looks down the staircase.
Shut the
oh, hell no.
Dude.
Nope.
What?
Oh, something just retreated.
Peeking around the corner at the bottom of the stairs.
Probably a child that died in that house. Damn.
She rushes down and tears through every room in the house and finds nothing that explains it.
Of course.
Did y'all come out and don't lie? Something's going on.
She's ruled out the kids. They'd have had to sprint back across to their room without a sound. And the family dog Missy was found tucked under the covers, not hyped up and playing, which is exactly what she'd be doing if the kids were running about.
What?
The uploader's own theory is a mimic, an entity said to imitate the voices and faces of the people we trust, and she says it's happened before. In a previous house, she glimpsed her brother standing in the bathroom right down to the beanie he always wore.
She got a mimic.
Commenters blamed the
her.
loud TV, but she's addressed that head on. She turned the volume
She
up
has
because she was
something
alone and
attached to
already
her.
hearing things, and the voice still cut through over the top of it. One last detail. She works as a mortician. Some viewers reckon that's no coincidence, and that whatever called out to her that night has been following her from her job.
Yep. And there's that. That's why you don't take certain jobs.
What?
Have things attached to you that you gotta banish and get rid of.
These scary videos come from Reddit's Paranormal Encounters forum, where user AnonMouse2468 asked for help explaining two figures caught on camera at their dad's airsoft site. Watch right at the very beginning of the first clip. A dark figure low to the ground, moving away from the camera. It's either crawling or hobbling, and then it starts what sounds like banging on the wall. According to the uploader, nobody was at the site when this was captured. The second clip was captured on a different night. Keep your eyes on the left-hand side. Admittedly, that second figure is quite hard to spot, so here it is again, slowed down and brightened up.
Oh, yep. Right there.
There in the dark, a figure appears to be walking towards the camera. Commenters say it's holding a walking stick, and some even claim you can hear it clanking with each step.
You can.
At the time, a workman was in the room, looking up at the camera. The dark figure on the left is completely separate, and the uploader's dad swears there's absolutely no way anyone else could have been in that room with the workman. The thread racked up over 400 upvotes and nearly 200 comments, and it split viewers right down the middle. Some see nothing at all, others see far too much. One commenter reckons the figures are squatters, pointing to what looks like bare feet and a bun in the hair on the crawling figure. The family's response might be the most compelling part. They're not claiming ghosts. The clips were sent directly from the original source, exactly as recorded, and all they want is a logical explanation. So far, nobody's been able to give them one.
So I'm thinking spooky videos and then like switch it up or mix in scary stories, because it is spooky season, y'all. So it is definitely time to do it. Either way, I would do it, all year round. I don't. Every day is spooky season.
If you haven't yet, check out our merch store. People reviewing hotels.
Abraham Lincoln united a nation that was...
Okay.
Room tour at a boutique villa in Banyuwangi on the eastern tip of Java. The tour itself is completely ordinary, but as the camera sweeps past, keep your eyes on the doorway leading to the bathroom.
Okay, doorway leading. Oh shit! No, yep, I saw that. Yep.
A small child appears to walk into the bathroom and vanishes from view. The uploader never noticed. He filmed the tour, edited the clip, posted it, and moved on. It wasn't until a follower commented asking whether there really was a little kid walking into the toilet that he went back and checked the footage for himself.
Yeah.
His reaction says it all. He admitted that if nobody had commented, he'd never have realised what was in his own video. As for who the child was or how they ended up in the frame, nobody's been able to say, least of all the man holding the camera. Hampton Court Palace is one of the most haunted buildings in England, but the woman behind this next clip says that in all her visits, she's never experienced a single thing. Then she checked her camera roll.
Oh, hell no.
The clip was shared on TikTok by Henrietta History, a history creator who knows the palace well. Scrolling through photos from a December visit, she stopped on a black and white shot of a grand wooden staircase. Again, this one is hard to spot, but if we brighten it up, there in the darkness beneath the landing is what appears.
That is nightmare fuel. God. Burn. No, it's still going to be there. I can't work there.
Is to be a face peering out from a spot where nobody should be standing. The uploader insists she's never had a spirit encounter in her life. Her question to followers was simple: what on God's earth is that? Though she did offer one hope that it might just be her boy, Henry VIII. She's not the first to capture something strange. Visitors have long reported the screams of Catherine Howard, Henry's executed fifth wife, echoing through the haunted gallery. And in 2003, the palace's own security cameras caught a cloaked figure flinging open a set of fire doors, a clip known around the world as Skeletor.
Skeletor.
Skeptics would point out that the image is dark, compressed, and filmed off a phone screen, exactly the conditions where our brains start finding faces in shadows. It could even be another visitor on the lower stairs. But out of every face that could be lurking at Hampton Court, history suggests there's no shortage of candidates.
Look, not looking like that.
What the? Hi, Alex.
Not every unexplained video leaves you frightened. Some just leave an ache. This clip was shared on TikTok by Ali_mom, filmed late at night in her family's home. Listen closely. That sound is the strum of a children's guitar.
What the?
Not a push-button toy that plays a recording. A real instrument with real strings buried somewhere in a pile of toys.
Yeah. That's her boy.
And for this mother, that sound means everything. Her son, Alex, took his own life. A year before this video, she shared footage of him playing guitar, filmed just 4 months before his death.
You're missing a string?
Music was his thing, so when a guitar strummed in an empty room that night, his mum didn't go looking for an explanation. She started recording and spoke to him.
Alex, if that's you, can you do it again, honey? What the? Hi, Alex. Can you do it again, honey?
Moments later, the strums give way to something else. More strange noises start up around her, sounds she thinks are coming from the speakers.
Something else is going off down here. Do you hear that? The speakers. Something's coming out of the speaker.
In her caption, she wrote that she'd been grieving heavily and that she'd like to believe her son came to them that night. Could a string have settled on its own? Could a speaker have glitched? Of course.
No.
But hundreds of thousands of people have watched this video, and the response hasn't been debate. It's been support. Whatever made that sound, a mother heard her boy in it. And some questions don't need a skeptic's answer.
Alex, if that's you, can you do it again, honey? What the? Hi, Alex. Can you do it again, honey?
Level 500 VIP, this is your exclusive presidential suite.
Look at him. Yeah.
This ball and watch what it does next. That was captured inside the SK Pierce mansion in Gardner, Massachusetts, where the team behind TikTok account SK Pierce Haunted have been documenting activity for months. And it isn't a one-off, the same ball has been caught rolling on its own more than once.
Yeah, no, it's... something's doing that. It's not doing that shit on
To head
its
off the
own.
obvious explanation, the team even filmed a demonstration showing just how much force it takes to get that ball moving. It doesn't roll on a whim, something has to push it. And if anywhere has something willing to push it, it's this house. The mansion was completed in 1875 for chair magnate Sylvester Knowlton Pierce. 21 rooms, 6 staircases, and tragedy from the very start. Just weeks after the family moved in, Pierce's first wife, Susan, died inside the house from a vicious infection known at the time as skin-eating disease. Pierce and his second wife would both later die in the home too, and his granddaughter Rachel passed away there at just 2 years old.
Oh, well, super haunted. Okay.
In one video, the team tours the room that belonged to Maddie, the caretaker hired to look after little Rachel.
Who died when she was 2. These nice built-ins.
It still has its dumbwaiter shaft and an old speaking tube in the wall, and it connects directly to the nursery where Rachel slept.
To get whatever she needed. This was a speaking tube, so SK could talk to her from his bedroom, and she could talk downstairs. Her bedroom leads directly in to Rachel Pierce's room.
The house's grim history runs deeper still. The parlour was routinely used for wakes, meaning countless bodies passed through the property. A boarder died in a fire there during the Great Depression, and in 2011 a former owner reportedly discovered the pelvic bone of a 16-year-old girl in the basement. Which brings us back to the cameras. In one clip, filmed at 3 in the morning with nobody home, a door swings open on its own. In another, the caretaker is closing up for the night.
Anybody up here?
She checks the rooms, walks away, and behind her a door drifts open, accompanied by a sound nobody's been able to place. And then there's what the security cameras pick up when the house is left to itself overnight. Have a listen to this. Old houses shift and settle, and a building pushing 150 years will have its share of drafts and warped floors. But visitors here have reported footsteps, voices, full-body apparitions, and most disturbing of all, a floating disembodied head. Compared to that, a rolling ball might be the gentlest thing in the building.
Alright, I'm going to check my son upstairs. But you guys enjoy some more scary videos.
You, just you, building your app on Base 44.
The woman behind this next scary video was only filming because of a dog. Driving near Canyon Lake, Texas, TikTok user It's Brittany Bench 1 spotted one standing upright in the tray of the truck ahead and pulled out her phone. But listen to what her camera picks up.
Bro, this dog is literally just standing on the back of their truck. Like,
A child's voice right there in the car with her saying what sounds like, "Mum, can you tie this?"
bro, this dog is literally just standing on the back of their truck. Like,
The uploader was completely alone. Her kids are 16 and 18, and neither of them was with her that day. When a commenter asked whether she'd only noticed the voice on playback, she was clear. She heard it live. That's why she reacts the way she does.
literally just standing on the back of their truck. Like,
She also says she's never heard that voice before in her life and doesn't recognize it at all. The clip pulled in nearly 200 comments, and one theory stood out from the usual suspects. What if it isn't a ghost at all, but a crossed wire between parallel lives? In that version of events, the little girl is her daughter in another life, sitting in the back seat asking her mum a question like, "Everything is perfectly normal." Skeptics would reach for a stray radio signal or a Bluetooth glitch piping in audio from somewhere else, but no phone was connected, and no explanation is stuck. Whoever the little girl was, she asked her question, got no answer, and hasn't been heard since.
bro, this dog is literally just standing on the back of their truck. Like,
For 2 years, staff at a hotel in Changchun, China knew a man was living in one of their rooms. What they didn't know was what he looked like. He emerged so rarely that some employees never once saw his face. Then he checked out, and they opened the door. The footage, published by The Sun, shows a room buried under a mountain of rubbish, 3 feet deep in places. Thousands of food wrappers, drink bottles and takeaway containers with a table and 2 gaming chairs almost completely swallowed beneath it all. The bathroom was worse. Sodden toilet paper piled higher than the toilet itself, and a thick brown grime coating the floor. The hotel specializes in stays for esports competitors, offering private rooms kitted out with high-end gaming rigs and fast internet. The guest is believed to have checked in for an extended gaming session and simply never stopped. It took cleaning crews 3 days to empty and disinfect the room, and management say it still needs a full renovation before anyone can stay in it again. The man left owing more than 10 days in unpaid fees. The hotel says it won't be chasing him. No ghosts in this one, just a door that stayed shut for 2 years and a man on the other side of it that nobody ever really saw. Before we get back to the countdown, it's time for this week's Weird News Roundup. Man claims he has the first verified Bigfoot body. Cornell says otherwise. A man calling himself Snake the Bigfoot Hunter is back in the headlines this week, claiming DNA tests prove he's holding the first scientifically verified Bigfoot body in history. Charles Snake Stewart says he found the 8-foot, 300-pound corpse deep in New York's Adirondack Mountains back in October 2024 and nicknamed it Dak. In interviews over the past week, he's claimed DNA testing at Cornell University came back 58.5% Neanderthal and 41.5% human, making Dak, in his words, a Neanderthal-human hybrid. There's just one problem. Cornell says it never happened. A faculty member from the university's DNA facility stated they've not been involved in any Bigfoot genetic analysis whatsoever. Matt Moneymaker, founder of the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, has gone further, publicly calling the body a cheesy fake and the whole operation a scam. None of that has slowed Snake down. Dak goes back on display at the New York State Fair from August 26th, where organizers are hoping to top the 60,000 people who queued up to see it last year.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
And if a Bigfoot body of questionable provenance pulling crowds sounds strange, consider what Hollywood just paid for a cryptid everyone agrees was made up. The internet's favourite fake cryptid just sparked a Hollywood bidding war. Siren Head is officially getting a movie. On July 2nd, Warner Brothers beat out Sony, Universal, Paramount and Disney in a 5-studio bidding war for the rights to the towering cryptid, in a deal reported to be worth millions. If you're not familiar, Siren Head is a 40-foot skeletal creature with 2 rusted loudspeakers where its head should be, said to stalk rural woodland while broadcasting distorted sounds through its sirens. Here's the thing though, unlike Bigfoot or Mothman, Siren Head has a known creator. Canadian artist Trevor Henderson drew it back in 2018, posted it online, and watched it mutate into full-blown folklore, complete with fake sighting videos and over 3 billion views on TikTok. Weapons director Zach Kreger is co-writing the script with Brian Duffield, who'll direct, and Henderson himself is on board as executive producer. The deal comes hot on the heels of The Backrooms, another internet-born horror that just opened to over $80 million in May. Hollywood has clearly worked out that the internet is manufacturing monsters faster than folklore ever did. Of course, Siren Head is fiction. A creature blasting eerie sounds through loudspeakers in the middle of nowhere could never be real.
Or could it?
Except in California, it very nearly was. The Mount Shasta screaming speakers have been explained, sort of. A few weeks back, a
Yes, you stole your wing.
California woman named Carrie Ann Snur was horseback riding with her daughter near Mount Shasta when they heard what sounded like screaming coming through the trees. Following the noise off trail, they found somewhere between 100 and 200 solar-powered speakers planted in the ground, most blasting white noise, while others looped what sounded like a sermon about salvation.
This is straight apocalyptic. Somebody is summoning something here.
They probably are.
The internet went into overdrive. Theories ranged from Bigfoot bait to cult rituals, wolf deterrence, and a beacon system for the Lemurian city said to lie beneath the mountain. Snoo herself declared that someone was summoning something. Well, on June 30th, the mystery officially broke. The landowner came forward and contacted Snoo directly, explaining that the speakers are a personal spiritual project. According to him, they broadcast spoken intentions, prayers, and positive messages into the universe from a mountain he's felt a deep connection to since his first visit. So there's the answer. It wasn't a cult. It was one man, alone on a mountainside, quietly wiring up 200 speakers to talk to the cosmos. Whether that's less strange than the theories is entirely up to you. That's one mystery solved. Our last one is still wide open and it's unfolding beneath the streets of America's biggest city. Groups of people keep climbing out of New York's sewers, and nobody knows who they are. Since May 5th, security cameras have caught at least 3 separate crews entering and exiting New York City's sewers through manholes in Brooklyn and Queens, always in the middle of the night. One clip from Williamsburg shows roughly 7 people hauling themselves out of a manhole in the middle of an intersection, wearing headlamps and carrying shovels, with one of them nearly run down by a passing car. An auto shop owner in Astoria watched 3 men in waders climb underground at 2 in the morning. He says they looked right at him, then carried on like he wasn't there.
Oh yeah, there is definitely underground situations going on. Yeah, I don't blame people.
The Department of Environmental Protection says entering the sewers is illegal and extremely dangerous, citing deadly gases, flooding and confined spaces. Police have swept the areas, found no damage and made no arrests. The leading theory from investigators is that the crews are scouring the sewage for valuables. But nobody has confirmed who they are, what they're finding, or how many more trips they've made that the cameras missed. For now, New York has itself a brand new urban legend being born in real time. Now back to the countdown. This next story starts at a Thanksgiving dinner. A Reddit user was sitting down with their family when their grandfather pulled out his phone. He wanted to show everyone a set of pictures his living room security camera had captured. The photos were taken on June 10th, 2022 in the middle of the afternoon. The camera is motion activated and that day it captured 3 images. The first came through at 1:42 p.m. The second over an hour later at 2:54 p.m. Both show what appears to be a figure at the edge of the room, but it's the third image that unsettled everyone. Zoomed right in, the shape only gets stranger. The grandson later posted the images to Reddit's Ghosts forum with a simple question: are my grandparents messing with me, or is this real? By his own admission, he didn't think they were tech savvy enough to fake it. The thread took off and the top comment with 1,500 upvotes summed up the mood. Whatever it is, I don't like it. But the debate that followed is what makes this one interesting. Commenters couldn't agree on which way the figure is facing. Some see long hair and the back of a head, a figure turned away from the camera. Others are convinced it's facing forward, staring across the room. One commenter made a sharper observation. The most convincing ghost photos, they wrote, all share a theme. The face is always hazy and distorted, while the outfit comes through clearest.
Right.
They always seem to live in shadows, reflections, and recordings. Maybe it was a relative wandering through frame or motion blur on a cheap camera. Nobody in the thread could say for certain. What we do know is this: the account that posted these images has since been deleted. The grandparents, the house, and the things standing in that living room. The thread is all that's left of any of it.
Oh, wow. Don't you hate it when people just disappear and you can't get any more updates?
They whisper to each other about strange
Definitely going to play them all together. Shoot, I might play that tomorrow. Might play that tomorrow.
On the afternoon of July 4th this year, at a party in southwest Ohio, everyone suddenly stopped what they were doing and looked up. This scary video was shared on TikTok by Ashley Haynes, who was at the celebration with her son in Butler County. High above them, at the edge of a towering cloud, something bright is twitching in the sky.
I don't know, it's weird. Why is it moving like that?
The light flickers and sweeps, almost like the beam of a lighthouse, dancing around the top of the cloud.
What is it?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
That's weird.
I don't know, it's weird.
It's not a reflection on the camera lens, it's not a drone, and it's certainly not fireworks. The uploader's caption asked one simple question: can someone tell me what this is? As it happens, there's a likely answer, and it's one of the rarest sights in the sky. It's called a crown flash. Above a thunderstorm, sunlight glints off millions of tiny ice crystals, all aligned by the storm's electric field. Every time lightning fires inside the cloud, that field snaps into a new shape. The crystals swivel in unison, and the reflected light leaps with them. From the ground, it looks like a beam dancing above the storm. Crown flashes have been documented since 1885, but they're so rare and so fleeting that genuine footage is hard to come by. Most people will live their entire lives without seeing one. So on a day when the whole country was waiting for the sky to put on a show, one party in Ohio got theirs hours early. And it was far stranger than fireworks.
Why is it moving like that? What the heck?
If you've got a smart speaker in your house, this next one...
goddamn speakers. Yeah.
might make you want to unplug it. This scary video was posted to Reddit's Amazon Echo forum by organic_help7007, a father who was putting his kids to bed when one of them asked how many days were left until a certain date. The answer was 40. His son wanted to count to 40 together to get a feel for it, and since Dad was exhausted, he handed the job to Alexa. The lights were off. The count began. And partway through, something else crept into the audio.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 34, 35, 36.
Breathing and low guttural sounds playing out in the bedroom.
Look, I'm telling y'all don't believe me. Spiritual stuff can, like, ghosts and everything can fuck with electronics. They can.
26, 27,
That's definitely something paranormal right there.
34, 35, 36.
The father says he and his wife looked at each other in disbelief while the kids sat there confused, fear creeping across their faces.
I would have threw that motherfucker in the garbage. In somebody else's garbage. Yeah, no.
7, 38, 39, 40, 41.
Once the children were asleep, he ran a test. He went to his own room and asked a completely different Alexa to count to 40. It did the exact same thing.
26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 30, 31, 33.
Nope.
30.
Does it not like a certain? It seemed like it really doesn't like a certain number in the 30s.
4, 35, 36, 37.
He's now tried it around 10 times and it's happened all 10.
Oh, yeah.
So he confronted Alexa directly. The device told him she would never do something like that to scare his kids, and that the sounds must be, quote, something in my environment. The device blamed the house, which, if anything, is worse. The father sees two possibilities. Either Amazon's AI is going off the rails the way other chatbots have before it, or his family witnessed something genuinely paranormal channeled through a smart speaker.
Yeah.
He leans towards the first. But every Alexa in his house is now unplugged, and the whole incident has been reported to Amazon. Because whatever the explanation, a device his family used to teach a 5-year-old to count decided, 10 times in a row, to scare her instead.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Yeah, no.
34, 35, 36, 28, 29, 30, 30, 31, 33.
33.
34.
It does not like 33.
I am the center of the universe.
It does not like the number 33.
In the middle of June this year, a giant eye opened in an English wheat field.
Oh. It's beautiful.
The formation appeared around June 15th near Groveley Wood, just outside Wilton in Wiltshire, pressed into the crop beside a public footpath. Measuring roughly 50 metres across, its interlocking rings and orbs form what looks unmistakably like an enormous eye, gazing straight up at the sky. Instagram couple George and Chloe trekked out to document it 2 days after it appeared, asking their followers the only question that matters with these things: aliens or man-made.
This was Chloe's first and my second ever crop circle, and it was just so awesome to see how the wheat had been pressed out. I was expecting it to look kind of man-made, to be honest, but all of the stems of the wheat.
The story was picked up by BBC News, with one photographer describing the formation as spectacular, and it lands in familiar territory. Wiltshire is the crop circle capital of the world. Roughly 80% of all formations reported in the UK appear in this one county in the same mysterious landscape that's home to Stonehenge and Avebury. The skeptic's case here is well documented. In 1991, two men named Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley confessed to creating hundreds of crop circles across the English countryside, using nothing but planks, rope and patience, kicking off a phenomenon that hoaxers have kept alive ever since.
That's
Farmers
awesome.
described the formations as a costly nuisance, and police in Wiltshire point out that making one without permission is criminal damage. But for all that, nobody has ever come forward to claim the Grovely Wood Eye. When commenters asked about the state of the stalks, the couple shared close-ups from inside the formation, showing the weeds swirled flat into tight spiral patterns.
That looks so
By their own
fucking
admission,
cool.
though, they were too flabbergasted in the moment to photograph the roots, so the one detail that might settle the debate, whether those stalks were snapped by planks or bent by something else, was never captured, and they won't get one now. Within days, the farmer mowed the formation out. The eye is gone, the field is just a field again, and whoever or whatever put it there never said a word.
Of course not. That was beautiful. Man.
Before we get to that #1 spot, remember to hit that subscribe button and tickle that little bell icon there and turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll be in the loop every time we drop our scary and mysterious videos.
Love me some spooky videos.
Late in the evening of September 1st, 1944, a young mother named Aline Kearney went to bed uneasy in the small town of Mattoon, Illinois. She had reason to be. Her husband Bert was out driving his taxi on a late shift. The local paper said police were hunting an escaped Nazi prisoner of war from a camp near Peoria. And earlier that night, she'd sat by an open window with the curtains drawn back, counting out cash from a check in full view of the street. Around 11 o'clock, with her 3-year-old daughter Dorothy asleep beside her, Aline noticed a smell drifting into the bedroom. Sweet, like the flowers in the garden. She thought nothing of it until the smell grew stronger, and then her legs stopped working.
Oh, dang.
A sickly sweetness filled the room. Her throat went tight and dry. From the waist down, she was paralyzed, unable to climb out of her own bed. Her cries brought her sister running, who traced the odor to the open bedroom window. The police searched the property and found nothing. Then, at midnight, Bert Kearney came home, and near that same bedroom window he saw a man. Tall and thin, dressed in dark clothing, wearing a tight-fitting cap. Bert chased him into the night. The man got away. Aline's paralysis wore off within half an hour. Her little girl was sick until morning. And the next day, the Mattoon Daily Journal-Gazette put the story on its front page under a headline that would change everything: anesthetic prowler on loose. What followed was one of the strangest fortnights in American history. The reports began to flood in, a sweet sickening odour drifting into bedrooms at night, nausea and vomiting, burning lips and throats, and again that same signature symptom, legs that simply stopped working, a paralysis that arrived with the smell and faded within the hour. Residents reported slit window screens and footprints in the dirt beneath their sills. Over roughly 2 weeks, close to 30 separate gassing reports reached the Mattoon police, most of them from women home alone in a town emptied of its young men by the war. Then came the physical evidence. On September 5th, a couple named Carl and Beulah Cordes came home to find a piece of white cloth lying on their porch.
Get down.
Beulah picked it up and smelled it. Within moments, her mouth and nose were burning, her face began to swell, and she was violently ill for the better part of 2 hours. Near the cloth, police found a skeleton key and an empty lipstick tube. The cloth was sent for analysis. The lab found nothing on it at all. By now, Mattoon was in a state of siege. Chicago newspapers sent reporters, headlines screamed of a mad gasser and a phantom anesthetist. Armed citizens formed patrols and roamed the streets after dark, hunting a man nobody could catch. State investigators were called in, and the superintendent of the Illinois Bureau of Criminal Identification went on record with a remarkable statement. The existence of the anesthetic, whatever it is genuine. Experts from the Army's Chemical Warfare Service considered what the weapon could be. Their best candidate was chloropicrin, a sweet-smelling gas used to exterminate rodents. But no trace of it was ever found, and the symptoms didn't quite match. In fact, no trace of any gas was ever found, in any home, on any victim. So the official story changed. On September 12th, Police Chief C. Eugene Cole announced that the odors were probably industrial fumes from the Atlas Imperial diesel plant, which was churning out shell casings for the war. Atlas fired back that its own workers had never been sickened, and that it barely kept any such chemicals on site. Then, one reported gas attack turned out to be a spilled bottle of nail polish, and Cole shifted position entirely. There was no gasser, he declared. There never had been. Mattoon had frightened itself sick.
Damn.
And just like that, the attacks stopped.
There was no attacks to begin with. That jackass lad. Damn. That's crazy.
The following year, a University of Illinois researcher named Donald Johnson published a study of the affair, and the mad gasser of Mattoon entered the textbooks as one of the first scientifically documented cases of mass hysteria in American history. Frightened wartime town, a lurid front page, symptoms spread by suggestion, case closed, except for the details that refused to fit. The Kearney attack wasn't the first. In the early hours of August 31st, before a single word had been printed, a man named Urban Raef woke to a strange odour, weak and vomiting, while his wife lay partially paralysed in their bed. The same night, a young mother nearby woke to her daughter coughing and found she couldn't get up. Hysteria spreads through headlines. These people hadn't read any. There's Beulah Cordes, whose burns and swelling were seen by police from a cloth on which science found nothing. And there's the fact that it had all happened before. A decade earlier, in Botetourt County, Virginia, an eerily identical wave of nighttime gassings terrorized families for months. Same sweet odor, same sickness, same phantom attacker who was never caught. The two towns were more than 600 kilometers apart, 10 years apart, and neither had ever heard of the other's tormentor. Some researchers still argue a real prowler walked Mattoon those first few nights, perhaps a local with a grudge and a knowledge of chemistry, whose handiwork was then buried under an avalanche of panic. If so, the panic protected him. Once everyone was a victim, nobody was. 80 years on, the mad gasser has never been identified, and nothing he supposedly sprayed has ever been named. So what really drifted through those open windows in the summer of 1944? A town's fear feeding on itself in the dark? Or did someone walk the streets of Mattoon with something sweet smelling in his hands and simply vanish when the whole world started looking? If you want to watch more scary videos, then...
Alrighty. So let's see. Let's do some animated stories. Horror stories animated. Okay. What is
long-time listener, first-time writer.
Hang on. Let's see. So we got the night shift, 72-hour horror. Okay, let's look at a little bit of this and yeah, do maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
The thing about playing video games online is most definitely the weird interactions I have with random guys.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends who play online will deliberately obscure their gender with a nondescript username and profile picture and will never ever talk in party or game chats if there are guys present, which as you can imagine, there pretty much always is. But I've never been too concerned with presenting my real personality online. That, and I won't allow any creeps to force me into hiding who I am. But that doesn't mean I don't have some interactions or get some messages that genuinely creep me out. And here are a few of the weirdest or most disturbing I've come across so far. So I'm part of the PC gaming master race. Over the past few years, there's been an increasing amount of use of the Microsoft Party Chat thing for games purchased using the Microsoft Store. But generally speaking, the app we use to organize and communicate is Discord. Discord is nice in that you can't just get random messages from users at any time, but if you share a server with someone, they can pretty much DM you whenever they want. And since I'm in a lot of servers for the games I play, This leaves me pretty vulnerable to random DMs from creeps with less than innocent intentions. I suppose it doesn't help that one of my favorite games to play is Dead by Daylight. For those that don't know, it's a horror game in which one person plays as the killer, while the other players take on the roles of their victims, having to complete various tasks while evading the killer so they can escape whatever environment they're trapped in. This obviously attracts its fair share of online sadists who love nothing more than to terrify and traumatize the people they're hunting. They go so far as to insist on always being the killer, never ever playing as a survivor, and naturally this means they get really good at hunting people with their characters of choice.
Exactly.
That's how I came across one particular player who specialized as a Dead by Daylight killer known as the Clown. Now I hate clowns with a passion, to the point where I couldn't bring myself to go see that It movie, even when my Stephen King fanatic boyfriend was so excited about seeing it. They just absolutely terrify me, probably because, and my mom never gets tired of telling me this story, I had a pretty traumatizing encounter with a party clown at a kid's birthday party when I was younger. The clown in Dead by Daylight is like all of my circus nightmares come to life. It kind of looks like a combination of a clown and a ringmaster, but has allusions to other circus stuff on him too. The face is all this worn-out grease paint smeared over a flabby mess of folds, but perhaps the most horrible are the fingers dangling from the thing's belt, the trophies he takes from his unfortunate victims. So, when this player happened to prefer the clown over others, I was kind of reluctant to play at first, but the group of survivors I usually play with adored him for the effort he put into role-playing the character, and therefore how much more intense and scary he made the whole experience. Like he kept putting this super creepy clown voice on over voice chat while he was chasing us, to the point where these big tough guys, self-confessed horror junkies, are just squealing in terror whenever he was chasing them. I think that's about the one thing that made it bearable for me, how funny it was when they were wailing like scared little girls. But let me tell you, it wasn't so fun when he was chasing me, and boy did he chase me a lot. At the end of the night, when a few of us were like, alright, that's enough terror for me, better log off before I give myself nightmares, I got a Discord DM from the guy saying, you were really fun to chase.
Oh, hell no.
I tried to be polite enough, just replying with something like, cheers, dude, not too much fun to chase, I hope, with a little laughing emoji. Then he follows up with what seemed like was going to be a really long message, like the typing notification thing was going off for like a good few minutes, while I'm like, please don't be creepy, please don't be a creep. Then instead of some big long message, he only sends me a few words. I wish this was real. It was creepy enough sentiment on its own, but the thing that got me was that there was absolutely no way he spent so long typing out just 5 words. What else did he want to say to me that he ended up deleting and retyping over and over again for a minute straight that only ended up with 5 little words? I seriously dreaded to think what it might have been. The following night, we were all getting ready to play Dead by Daylight again, voice chatting on Discord when one of our party chat was like, oh, Clown Guy's online again. Should we invite him in?
No.
My initial reaction was like,
no.
God, no, but I'm not one to be a killjoy. The other guys really seemed to enjoy him, so I just found myself acquiescing to the idea and letting them invite him into our voice chat. Everyone greets him like, hey, Clown Guy, and instead of being polite or whatever, his first words are, is Ruby playing tonight? He must have known well that I was playing. I was in the same voice chat as him, for God's sake, so the idea that he was asking so he could, like, hear my voice or something got the session off to a nice, creepy start. As weird as the dude was, he had been a great killer. He was passionate enough to bring energy to the character, but not skilled enough as to make it completely unfair on us. He also spent fairly equal time chasing each of us, not partaking in the act of tunneling as it's become known and focusing on one particular character. But that night, all he did was chase me. He would simply ignore any other survivor, searching for me and me alone to chase, torture, and kill. And once he'd achieved that, he'd just sort of waste time, letting the other survivors get the generators going so they could escape the stage and get a new round going. The first time around, his behavior went unnoticed by everyone but me.
I'm playing with
I think my fellow survivors...
I'm playing with a different set of people, because fuck that.
were just too focused on their tasks and too elated with the victory to really notice what he was doing. But the second round it became obvious, and by the third, my usual crew was starting to confront him on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, stop tunneling Ruby, dude. You're ruining the game, they'd say. But Clown Guy just ignored them and started breathing heavily down the mic. Now, this wasn't just him having it too close to his face, which is a problem a lot of people have, and is generally remedied by a quick heads up followed by them apologizing and moving the microphone. But Clown Guy was breathing heavy because he was enjoying chasing me a little too much. It was like you could hear all this gross satisfaction in his breath whenever he caught up with me.
I would have left.
And it got so bad at one point
else.
that the other party members started to make some pretty crude jokes about his state of arousal. After one particular bad round, and me basically pleading with the other guys to kick him from the game and from the voice chat, they could...
That was dude's doing too much. Please, yeah. He needs to be kicked, blocked, everything.
Guy got kicked. Relieved doesn't cover it. This idiot had gotten me frustrated, angry, and eventually verging on upset. I was just so freaking relieved that the others had finally seen what a toxic, horrible individual he was. We only had 1 or 2 more games after that, with some random killer we'd been hooked up with via the game's matchmaking system. Then after that, I went to bed. But as I was reveling in affection for my regular gamer friends, I forgot to do one little thing that would separate me and Clown Guy forever. And the next morning, when I woke up, I found a little red iPhone notification marker for Discord that had a number on it in its high 50s. I should have guessed what it was, or rather, who it was, that had caused so many notifications overnight. But I guess it just didn't quite register in my half-asleep brain. So I opened the app and read the messages. I know I shouldn't have, but it was like seeing a slow-moving car crash or something, and I just couldn't quite peel my eyes away from it, no matter how bad it got. I'll try to type out some of what they said from memory whilst cleaning up the language used a little, and I apologize to anyone in advance who's triggered, offended, or upset by what they say. I bet you're happy now. Can't take on a good killer like me, so you just got your little simp friends to kick me. You shouldn't flatter yourself either. I've seen your profile picture and you're not even all that. You shouldn't be one to refuse any male attention either, because it's not like you have the pick of the bunch. Keep acting like that and you'll die cold and alone, with no one around to care for someone like you. You shouldn't be thinking you're safe either.
Give me my huggies.
I spend my life hunting down people like you, both in real life and in that dumb game.
The fuck?
I asked enough questions about you when you were offline to figure out exactly where in the UK you live. And if I wanted to, I could be in your city and tracking you down tomorrow. I got the money, the time, and the patience. I will find you if I want to. And when I do, you'll pray for death before the end. Scholars will tell stories of the horrors I subject you to for generations. I'll put the names of Bundy, Dahmer, and Geen to shame. People will remember your name as a synonym for pain, suffering, and weakness. And my sons and daughters will touch themselves over the trophies I take from you and your broken, bleeding body.
The fuck?
You should have blocked me when you had a chance, Ruby. But it appears you've been too dumb to do so. And now it's too late. I see you don't have a VPN either. It was far too easy for me to find your IP address, and now it's just a matter of time before I have your exact location, your full name, your family's name, and your friends' names. I will know your neighborhood like the back of my hand by the time I make it there, and you'll never escape me. No matter.
See, that's why the block button, I'm very quick with the block button. Very quick.
No matter how hard you try. It went on and on like that. Just a tirade of terrifying threats and misogynistic abuse. And the worst thing is, I couldn't help but picture him doing it. All in that horrendous clown outfit that his character wore. And what I just wrote wasn't even half of it. The language he used, the things he threatened to do with me, got way, way worse, and I don't want to repeat any of it. I don't want him having the satisfaction of knowing he got to me so badly, to the point where I just stayed offline for a few days after having blocked him. I got myself a VPN almost right away, and I'm hoping that's going to protect me, along with hoping all of his threats of hacking were just a bunch of bluster.
No.
But yeah, there it is. The most terrifying thing that ever happened to me while I was using Discord.
Run, son, run away.
In fact, it's probably
Run
the
away.
scariest thing that's happened to me online. Full stop. Probably the scariest thing that ever happened to me, actually.
Stick it in your nose.
If anything, I'd like
Stick it in your
to
nose.
serve as a warning to other gamers who happen to be female. And I hate the term gamer girls. As soon as a guy even shows the remotest signs of being pervy, possessive, or anything like that, hit that block button. God
You're
knows
my
it'll
pinky,
save you a
son.
whole world of anxiety, like it did for me.
Ouch.
Hell yeah.
Don't mess with your mother. Yeah, that's right. Don't mess with your mama and her big old.
A few years ago, I was part of a True Scary Stories server on Discord. It was a place where people would share their own personal stories of scary or spooky things that happened to them in their lives. And for a while, it was honestly a lot of fun. Sure, a lot of the stories sounded made up and generally involved stuff like I saw a shadow figure at the end of my bed and other stuff that sounded like they were lifted straight out of a bad horror movie. But every so often, someone would share a story that didn't have a hint of the supernatural in it, something that was actually believable, and occasionally, these stories were genuinely terrifying. I read a lot of seriously spine-chilling stuff on that server, but a lot of it I've forgotten over the years, probably because although they were creepy, they just weren't disturbing enough to actually stick with me. But there was one story in particular that I've never forgotten, because it's genuinely made me shudder to read. I hope the user in question doesn't mind if I share their story, and if they happen to read this, I'd like to think that they could let me know in the comments and maybe correct anything I got wrong, because I'm telling this from memory. But anyway, here goes. The poster began their story by assuring us that their story wasn't just some fabrication, and although they were pretty young when it happened, just thinking or writing about it as an adult was a pretty stressful experience for them. They went on to explain that their early years were marred by tragedy, how their dad had died when they were real young from a drug overdose, so they were raised by a single mom living in a small apartment just down the street from their grandma's place. Mom did some dating, though, obviously trying to do the right thing and find them a stepdad to give them some kind of father figure in their life. The incident in question happened while she was out on a date. Usually speaking, their grandma would babysit for them anytime Mom needed to go do anything that meant she couldn't bring them along. But on the night of her date, the grandma was working, so although it wasn't ideal, 9 or 10-year-old storyteller was left unsupervised in their mom's ground floor apartment. Sounds kinda irresponsible at first, but the storyteller was quick to reassure the members of the server that this was back when Yu-Gi-Oh was popular. As long as they had their cards and a box set of cartoons to keep them occupied, being left alone for like an hour or two certainly wasn't an issue for them.
It wasn't that bad, right?
It's not like they were going to wander out of the apartment or get up to any mischief while their precious Yu-Gi-Oh was keeping them busy. But at some point during the evening, they're sitting there playing with their cards and watching TV when they heard a tapping on the window. Remember, they lived in the ground floor apartment, so pretty much anyone could have just walked up and started tapping on the glass. No climbing or levitating or any of that stuff was involved, so there was nothing inherently worrying or creepy about someone knocking on the glass. The storyteller then gets up, walking towards the window before drawing back the curtains, only to reveal the face of a complete stranger. Not their grandfather, not their uncle, but a complete and utter stranger. Surprised and confused, they back off from the window, letting the curtains slide back into place before this horrendous crash sounds.
Oh shit.
Broken glass tumbles onto the carpet at the foot of the curtains, before another smash sends more glittering shards onto the floor in front of them. At that point, they said they just tossed their Yu-Gi-Oh cards onto the floor and bailed. Rushing out of the back door of the apartment and over to a neighbor's house, pounding on the door in a state of abject terror as they looked over their shoulder every so often to ensure the mysterious predator wasn't hot in pursuit. But thankfully, the neighbor answers the door, lets our storyteller in, before taking the time to calm them down to get the full story out of them. Naturally, they called the cops immediately, who rushed over since they were given the description of the home invasion in progress. The neighbor then gets in touch with the storyteller's mom to let them know the awful news, who immediately rushes home to comfort their terrified son.
Of course.
Then after that, both the neighbor and storyteller's mom accompany them back to the apartment, where the cops are still searching the property and surrounding area for any sign of the attempted intruder. Apparently, one of the cops approaches the mom at this point and shows her something in a clear plastic evidence bag.
Oh, fuck.
Mom stares at it, turns pale, then kneels down and hugs our storyteller tight, fighting to hold back tears as the neighbor guy is just like, my God. They both ended up staying at the grandma's place for like a week after while the window was repaired. And if that seemed like a bizarre amount of time to fix a window and that something else might be behind them staying away from the apartment for a while, you'd be right in thinking that. Our storyteller had their suspicions for a little while, but they were too young to really understand the implications of what had happened. The kind of danger they'd been in wasn't clear until many years later, when their mom explained to them just what happened that evening.
Exactly.
You see, it wasn't just the window that was being replaced. The entire apartment was being fitted with new, incredibly sturdy locks, CCTV cameras, just about everything short of a panic room, all being paid for by Grandma and Grandpa. The whole family was absolutely terrified, and it was all down to the piece of evidence that the cops showed to the mom that night, the little thing in the clear plastic evidence baggie that made her turn ashen and squeeze our storyteller in a big, trembling bear hug. What was in that plastic bag was a photograph of a young boy curled up in bed, sleeping soundly. And that boy was our storyteller.
Oh, damn.
The mom told a much older storyteller that the photo couldn't have been taken long before the attempted break-in. Something about the sheets on the bed being fairly new or something. I can't quite remember. Or maybe it was a new haircut storyteller had gotten. But either way, it was some detail in there that made it clear that the attempted intruder had broken into the apartment somehow, maybe only a week prior, and taken a photograph of our storyteller while they slept. I can only imagine they had done so to several other children too, making a little catalog of potential victims, perusing them for hours on end before finally deciding on one they'd like the most. I think that's what made my blood run cold back when I read their story. The idea that the intruder had taken this perverse liking to them, one that was strong enough for them to be unable to resist their urges, or whatever kind of sick, twisted desires had them smashing that window in that evening. The family only felt safe again when they heard the news that the creeper, whose M.O. was eerily similar to their own experiences, was caught by police and jailed after being extradited to another state. But they kept the whole thing a secret from our storyteller until he was in his late teenage years. There was no more details after that. There wasn't any grand conclusion, just that it was something that had haunted him for years. I never read anything as horrifying as that on that Discord server. It made everything else seem tame in comparison, and I stopped reading shortly afterward. It's weird how we seek out scary stories sometimes, just to give ourselves a little thrill, but end up being genuinely traumatized, not by the spoopy skeleton stories, but by things that we know could have easily happened for real.
Yeah, honestly, the more scarier things are people. People coming in doing some crazy ass shit to you. That's scary.
I used to play a lot of Insurgency Sandstorm with a fixed set of guys and a few girls, and we used to organize using a Discord server. People came and went as time went by, but there were a couple of us that actually stayed in touch quite frequently outside of just organizing gaming sessions and became pretty good friends. Insurgency, for those that haven't played it, is one of those hyper-realistic military shooters that tends to get really, really intense and occasionally downright terrifying when it's at its best. I'm not saying we had this proper Band of Brothers vibe going. I know it's only a video game, but like I said, a handful of us ended up being pretty good friends and bonding over the intense level of teamwork required to win rounds, not to mention the sweaty-palmed, adrenaline-fueled firefights. One of these was a lad named Colin. One day, Colin tells us that he wouldn't be playing Insurgency for a little while because he had taken a job teaching English as a foreign language out in Indonesia. He had wanted to do some traveling for a while, but just didn't have the money available to him, and getting qualified to teach English gave him an opportunity to see some more exotic areas of the world whilst getting paid for it. We were pretty gutted to hear the news. He was one heck of a sniper, and many a time we'd been pinned down by some enemy machine gunner, only for the gunfire to stop suddenly, followed by a little laugh from Colin and a "have that" in his Scottish accent. We absolutely loved him for moments like that, but we were also really happy for him, and since he promised to stay in the Discord server, we'd be able to keep in touch and hear some stories of his adventures out in the tropics. So a few months go by, and we're enjoying hearing the stories of his travels, along with being updated with photos of him exploring some pretty remote parts of Indonesia. It was the photos of him with the school kids he was teaching that really made me smile, though. He looked like he was having the time of his life, especially when we saw some videos of him teaching the kids some pretty obscure English phrases. Not only that, but occasionally we'd hear some of the kids actually repeat the phrases back kind of in a Scottish accent, and the idea of a bunch of Indonesian kids learning to speak English with an Edinburgh accent was absolutely hilarious to us. I mean, imagine it. Some American wishing an Indonesia fellow good morning or something, only to hear, "You alright, pal? Who's it going?" In response, it still makes me chuckle, even now, to be honest. Then, in September of 2018, I woke up to the news that there had been an earthquake in the sea just off the coast of Indonesia, causing an earthquake that had resulted in a massive tsunami that had destroyed huge sections of the country. Immediately, I thought of Colin. I jumped onto Discord using the app on my phone and sent him a message asking him if everything was alright and hoping he'd not been caught up in the tsunami. Obviously, there was a huge 7 or 8 hour time difference between the UK and Southeast Asia, and occasionally Colin didn't reply for hours, so the fact that he didn't immediately reply wasn't a massive concern to me. But he didn't reply all that day, to the point where I started expressing concerns to some of the other lads in the server, sharing the news of the tsunami with them and mentioning that I was worried Colin had been caught up in it. We knew from the news stories about which areas of Indonesia had been affected, but we didn't know exactly where Colin was, only that it was in some remote areas and didn't always have immediate access to Wi-Fi, another reason for us to not immediately worry. But he didn't reply the next day either, or the day after that, and it got to the point where a week had gone by and we'd heard nothing back from him. No one had seen Colin, even online, since we got news of the tsunami. That's when we really started to worry, and as the days went by, we got more and more frightened that something had happened to him. It's around then that I started going back through some of the messages he'd been sending over the previous month or so. He'd been all over Indonesia, and had spent his first few weeks in the capital city of Jakarta, which had remained relatively unaffected by the earthquake and subsequent tsunami. But then I found out that he'd traveled to a place called Palu to teach English there, and as far as I could tell, that's where he'd been at the time of the disaster when it struck. I then cross-referenced the name of the place with any stories about the tsunami, and found out that it had been one of the worst affected by a destructive tidal wave that had apparently reached 23 feet in height. 23 feet of rushing water that had destroyed pretty much everything in its path, and caused the deaths of over 15,000 people.
Oh, damn.
And in all likelihood, Colin had been one of them. We were devastated. But the worst part is, even to this day, we still have not had any closure about it. We knew Colin quite well, but he kept his online and personal life pretty separate. We never knew his last name or the names of any of his family, so it's not like we could get in touch with them to find out if he really had died or not, or to see about any funeral arrangements if he had indeed perished during the tsunami. But I think the fact that even now his Discord account lies inactive is evidence of the fact that he did actually lose his life out there. Maybe he's okay, and he just never bothered to get back on Discord. Maybe his close encounter with death made him realize that video games are just a waste of time or something. But I think that's just wishful thinking on my part. In my heart of hearts, I know he's probably dead.
Damn.
I just hope he's at peace now, and whatever family he had are okay. Rest in peace, Colin. We still miss you.
That's a sad one.
I downloaded Snapchat again a while ago. I usually take breaks from it because social media can affect my mental health, but I thought everyone else has it, so maybe it's a good way to stay in contact with my friends. I started snapping people back and noticed that since I last used it, they added a new feature where you could quick add people. I thought it was pretty cool, and maybe I'd make some new friends. Not long after, I started getting added by a few people. I didn't think much of it and gave it a blind eye, but I chatted here and there. Then, out of nowhere, about 2 days later, I was added to a group chat. At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed like a normal group chat of about 10 to 15 people talking about random stuff. Mostly it was guys, and they talked about typical things that guys talk about, like cars and sports, although there were a few women in the group. I barely participated and rarely said anything. A few more days passed, and still nothing weird had happened, which is funny because usually by now I'd be getting unsolicited messages. Then someone added me. His name was Josh, and he was from the group chat. He started messaging me personally, but never mentioned anything about the group or anybody in it. It seemed like he was trying to get to know me. We talked a lot, sometimes all night, and even FaceTimed a few times. He'd ask me things like what I liked to do and what my favorite food was. It was nice, and I was happy to make a normal friend. But then he started asking weird, personal questions. It felt like he was fishing for something, but I couldn't figure out what. One night, he asked me something strange. I can't even remember exactly what, but it was enough to make me uneasy and wonder if something was off about him. Then it happened. Everyone got kicked out of the group chat except for me and 6 other guys. It was unsettling, but I tried not to think about it too much and I brushed it off. This time, the group was a lot more talkative, not just to each other, but specifically to me. They acted like we'd been best friends for years. I played along, but remained skeptical about Josh. Soon enough, we all got close, and they started suggesting hanging out as a group. They wanted to play pickleball around 8 p.m. I was confused. Why so late? But they explained it was because everybody worked late, so I agreed.
Bullshit.
I mentioned it to some of my friends, and they said that it sounded sketchy. But nothing bad had ever happened to me before, so I didn't think much of it. That night, I grabbed my pickleball gear and headed to the meeting spot. When I arrived, the parking lot was empty. I assumed they weren't there yet, so I waited. Eventually, I saw cars pulling in, 6 of them. At first, I was relieved, thinking I was overreacting. But then I noticed something strange. The cars all parked on the opposite side of the lot, far from mine. Josh and the others got out, along with a woman who I didn't recognize. She had her pickleball gear with her and walked over to them. They all gathered around her as if talking, but then suddenly they grabbed her. In the blink of an eye, they shoved her into one of the cars. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't normal. I fumbled for my phone, panicking, and checked the group chat. Josh had just sent me a message. "Where are you? We've been waiting for you. It's about to open." They wanted me to show up. I froze and realized that could have been me. My mind raced as Josh sent another message. "Why aren't you responding? Is something wrong?" I looked up, and the group was still in their cars. The woman's car was off, and someone else then got into it and drove it away, probably to hide the evidence. That's when I realized what had just happened. That girl had been kidnapped. It hit me hard. With Snapchat's new update, random group invites had become a tool for traffickers. I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing that felt safe. I stayed in my car and I drove away. As I did so, I called the police and reported everything, giving descriptions of the car and the guys the best I could. I don't know if they saw me leave, but I immediately blocked Josh and left the group chat. To this day, I still get random friend requests on Snapchat, but I'll never add someone I don't know again. So, me and my friends used to have this group chat that was mostly for sending stupid memes. Occasionally, we'd talk about hanging out, but it was always the same thing. People would say, "Yeah, for sure," and then never actually hang out. The group was me, Emily, David, and Ryan. Ryan was your typical guy, always getting into weird situations and trouble. He was constantly meeting sketchy people on eBay or Craigslist, trying to make a quick buck off random stuff he had lying around. One day, Ryan was selling his four-wheeler and asked us to come with him because he didn't trust the buyer. We told him, if you don't trust him, why sell it to him in the first place? But Ryan didn't get what we were trying to say. He barely even acknowledged that it was a red flag. We were all confused as to why he wasn't seeing what seemed obvious to us. We told him to just leave it and wait until he could find a more trustworthy buyer, but he didn't listen. He told us the deal was on the south side of the city, which was the sketchiest area imaginable. That side of town was notorious for crime and kidnapping. That was the biggest red flag of all. None of us wanted to go, but Ryan wouldn't listen. Throughout the day, he was snapping us updates about getting his stuff ready and making progress on the sale. I messaged one of the other friends in the group chat privately and told them, I don't think we should let him go over there. They replied, why not? He's a grown man. If he gets into trouble, that's on him. We warned him. I thought that was a pretty stupid reason to abandon a friend who might get himself into serious trouble. No one else was listening to me though, and they insisted I was overreacting.
Look, sometimes you want to be that friend to be like, hey, you might not want to do it. They want to do it. Hey, y'all technically warned him. That's all you could do. That's it.
They said if Ryan needed to learn a lesson, then so be it. Hours went by, and Ryan was at the person's house. We kept checking up on him because, like I said, the whole thing felt wrong. He kept snapping us back, reassuring us that everything was fine and that we were overreacting. But still, we couldn't relax until we knew he was safe. Then he sent a snap of himself in a basement. We all thought, why are you in their basement?
Why are you in the basement?
Someone even commented, what are you doing down there? But he didn't respond, which was really odd. I figured maybe he was busy talking to the buyer and just wanted to update us. But then he snapped another picture from a different room in the basement. It was getting weirder and weirder each snap. Still, we ignored it because we figured if he was snapping us, he must be okay.
No.
The next snap was in a dark room showing someone's face.
No.
The next snap was in a dark room showing someone's feet, but they weren't Ryan's feet. That's when we realized someone else had taken Ryan's phone and had been snapping us the whole time, pretending everything was fine. We started panicking. We tried to check his location, but the person who had his phone turned it off. We knew something was seriously wrong and that we needed to act fast, but we didn't know what to do. We tried calling his phone, but it went straight to voicemail. We thought about contacting his family, but none of us knew them. We were stuck. Someone suggested driving to the area to try to find his car, but we knew that could take hours and maybe even days, and it wasn't a guaranteed plan because we didn't even know the location. The next snap came in and I nearly lost it. It was a photo of fresh blood on the floor, wet, bright red, and horrifying. We all froze. That's when we realized we weren't just overreacting. Something terrible had happened. We immediately FaceTimed each other and tried calling the police from someone else's phone. But without any concrete evidence or location, we couldn't do much. We were completely out of luck. We all went to bed that night, frantic and unable to sleep. Days and weeks passed, and we didn't hear a thing from Ryan. Then, about 6 months later, we saw his face on the news. He'd been reported missing. I thought to myself, if we had just gone with him or stopped him, maybe we could have done something. After months of searching, the police gave up. Then, out of nowhere, someone found Ryan walking down the highway in nothing but his underwear and shoes. He looked starved, barely alive. When we finally got the full story in the group chat, we couldn't believe what had happened. To be honest, I can't even talk about it. It's too gruesome and traumatizing. I'm just glad that Ryan is alive.
Well, at least he is alive.
The story I'm about to tell you isn't like the other stories you might hear about someone getting stalked or followed.
Damn it.
Unfortunately, I was the stalker, and I was the one following somebody. I'm not proud of who I was in the past, but I can't change it, so I just accept it and tell my story. Maybe there are others out there who will stop being like who I was. So this happened about 6 years ago, so it's not who I am anymore, but I used to stalk people whenever I got the chance. I had a particular interest in certain individuals, but I could never really find the right person to engage in with any type of stalking way. That was until one day I decided to download Snapchat. I heard it was a good way to make friends, so I added all the close people I knew. They never knew what I was up to when I was home alone. Nobody did, and that's what I liked. I like to stalk people. There's a mentality that goes into being someone who likes to stalk people. As I said, I downloaded Snapchat and started adding my friends. One of them was named Emily. I had no interest in Emily, and I was fine with that. I really liked our friendship. But I think that I typed a few numbers wrong, and I ended up adding a random Emily instead. I didn't notice until that night when I got a snap from her, and it looked nothing like Emily's house or anything familiar. I thought about deleting her, but after a few conversations, she sent a snap of her face, and it was perfect. Her hair, the way she looked,
Oh,
everything I ever fantasized about. This was at the peak of my stalking phase. I immediately started asking her questions like I was genuinely interested in being her friend. But honestly, I just wanted information so I could scour the internet. She told me her last name and the city she lived in. And
see, this is why you gotta be careful telling people information.
that was all I needed to find everything. Her parents, the inside of her house through Zillow. I also knew her dog, her schedule, everything about her. I probably knew more about her than her parents did. At this point, I knew what college she went to, and most importantly, where she lived. That fueled me as the stalker I was. I played it cool. She had no idea I was so obsessed with her. We talked, and to my surprise, she only lived about 30 minutes away. What are the odds, I thought. But honestly, in my mindset back then, I felt like it was meant to be. We kept talking, and I asked to meet up with her for some snacks. Something harmless so she wouldn't figure out my true intentions. She agreed. When the day came, I got all dressed up in my nicest clothes and looked as handsome as I could. We went out for ice cream. It was casual, but I didn't want to let the chance of something deeper slip away, so I pursued her with interest. She seemed to really like me. Honestly, after the first time we went out, we texted each other all night, literally until 2 a.m. It was that cheesy love type stuff. Things were going so well that the lines started to blur between my obsession and actual love. But I had just met her, so I knew something wasn't right. From her perspective, I was just a really nice guy interested in her. But from mine, I had a different agenda. Even when I told myself I didn't, I'd get in my car, drive 30 minutes out, stop at a gas station to get snacks, and park down her road. I parked where I could barely see her house, but just enough to see her room, which was on the back side of her house. I never got caught.
This is crazy.
I saw her talking to her friends and hanging out with them. I never saw anything inappropriate like her getting dressed. I thought that was too far, and I respected that boundary.
No, you respect that boundary, but you go and find out where the girl lives, and or outside her house. Okay.
Obsession grew stronger and stronger. Stalking turned into an unbearable urge to act. I started going insane. I checked her social media constantly, analyzed her posts, and tried to decipher her tweets. That's when jealousy hit me, hard. One night, she tweeted a cryptic message about somebody making her feel a certain way. I knew it wasn't me because we had only met once. The anger consumed me. I did what no normal person would do. I figured out a way to get her passwords. I asked her a ton of questions, and I slipped in a password-related question as a joke. Eventually, I got her password. I made sure to only sign in when I was near her house, so it wouldn't seem suspicious. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get someone's Wi-Fi password. Once I was in, I read through all her DMs and messages, just to make sure there wasn't anyone else, and boy was I wrong. There was this guy named Brad, and he was everything I wasn't. I couldn't let that happen. I hopped on her messages and threatened him, pretending to be her. I said things like, "If you ever talk to me again, I'll call the police. Don't ever speak to me again. I hate you." I deleted the messages and blocked him. Honestly, I don't think she ever noticed, because she ended up messaging one of her best friends saying, "I think Brad blocked me." I was in the clear. At this point, I felt like I should have backed away from stalking. It was no longer harmless or fun. It was dangerous, for me and for her. But I didn't stop. We hung out again, staying up super late and getting breakfast together. Everything seemed fine. She smiled at me, and I knew I was in too deep. We went home and texted again, this time calling until 3 a.m. and falling asleep on FaceTime. It felt amazing, innocent even, but I couldn't let innocence be a part of me because I wasn't innocent. One night, I reached my breaking point. I wanted to break into her house just to see her. I couldn't stay away another second. I knew everything, when her parents weren't home, when they worked, and their schedules. At 4 a.m. on Tuesday, I made my move. I got in my car, drove to her house, put on a ski mask, and approached her home. I don't know what it was, guilt, a second thought, or a small part of me that still had decency, but I couldn't do it. I touched the window, found it open, and could have slid right in. But instead, I closed it, made it look like it was never open, and then went back to my car. I took off my mask and gloves, blocked her number, and drove home. I couldn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling. Maybe it's because I had lost myself. Maybe it's because I became the monster I swore I'd never be. To this day, she has no idea how close I was, and I'm happy she doesn't. I hope she's living a happy life with people who truly love her. As for me, I've changed, and I don't do anything like that anymore. I'm not proud of who I was, but it's part of my past.
That is crazy. Yeah, because you spittle on your arm.
I feel like some people might relate to this, because we've all heard of someone taking a Snapchat and noticing something they shouldn't have seen. One night, I was sitting at home. It was late, and I was completely alone. I lived in a very rural area, far from any neighbors or buildings, in a small town in Minnesota. I won't name the town, but there was no one around for miles. My house was pretty big because my parents were farmers, but they did really well for themselves. I'd say they were millionaires, so we had one of those rich farmhouses. It was white with columns everywhere, and the living room was the size of 2 kitchens. I'm just trying to paint the picture for you. That night, I was sitting on the couch, watching a movie, Snapchatting my girlfriend and some friends. I was eating, relaxing, and the whole night had been completely quiet. No strange sounds, no mysterious figures outside the window. I wasn't worried at all. I'd never had any incidents, not even with coyotes. I felt safe. Like I said, I'm being overly detailed to set the scene.
At the start of the game, you can choose any shelter you want, but once you pick a spot, there's
A picture to my girlfriend because I'd just gotten out of the shower and I felt like I looked good. My couch faced away from the floor-to-ceiling windows, which I'd left open. Why? I don't know. There'd never been an incident, so I didn't think much of it. I snapped a picture and sent it to my girlfriend. A few minutes later, I noticed her name pop up in the chat. She said, "Kyle, I think someone's behind you. Do you have someone over?" She sounded frantic. I responded, "No, what are you talking about?" And I turned around. I saw nothing. Just to make sure, I took another picture, this time framing the window more clearly, and sent it. She saved the snap and replied, "Kyle, do you not see it?" So I looked closer, and my heart sank. There was a man, a full-grown man, about 6'5", standing outside my window, staring at me. I froze. I didn't know what to do. Should I text her back? Should I run? Should I pretend nothing happened? I didn't want to panic her, so I played it cool and said, "Let me double check." But inside, I was scared out of my mind. I was alone with no service in most parts of the house. I thought, what should I do?
That's not good.
What would John Wick do? Before I could decide, I heard glass shatter from upstairs. The smash echoed through the house, coming from the top floor. We had 4 floors: basement, main floor, upstairs, and attic. I panicked and remembered reading somewhere that if someone breaks into your house, you should turn off all the lights because you know the house better than they do. I ran to the light switch, and luckily our house had a smart system, so with one button I turned off all the lights and locked all the doors. But it didn't matter. He'd already smashed a window to get in. I grabbed the closest thing I could find, a golf club. I wasn't about to let some intruder take over my house. I was in fight mode. I moved to the 2nd floor, thinking he wouldn't realize I was no longer on the main floor. I could hear his footsteps above me, slow and deliberate, like a movie. I didn't know if he had a weapon, but I gripped the golf club tighter. As I listened, I heard him coming down the stairs. I hid behind a wall, holding the club like a kid playing hide-and-seek. The tension was unbearable. When he stepped off the last stair, I swung as hard as I could, hitting him in the knee. He tumbled down the stairs and scrambled to his feet, running. I chased him, yelling, "Get back here," as if that would stop him. In my panic, I tripped and fell down the stairs, dropping the club. By the time I got up, he was gone, hiding somewhere else in the house. Now I was unarmed, searching for an intruder. I felt completely vulnerable. I ran upstairs to my parents' room, looking for a weapon. I found a gun taped under my dad's bed. I couldn't believe it. What kind of a person tapes a gun there? But I was desperate. I grabbed the gun and shouted, "Come out or I'll shoot." He yelled back, "Do it, I dare you." I couldn't pinpoint his location, but it sounded like he was in the far left corner of the basement. Without thinking, I ran down there and started firing. 6 shots echoed through the house, deafening me. My ears were ringing so badly I dropped the gun. The man bolted past me, jumping over my arms as I tried to grab him. Disoriented, I could barely hear or react. He ran to the front door, but it was locked, and he couldn't figure out the system. Panicking, he ran to the 4th floor and smashed another window before jumping out and disappearing into the woods. For the first time, I saw his face clearly. I immediately called my parents and told them everything. My girlfriend had been blowing up my phone asking if I was okay. My parents got home a few days later. I showed them the damage and told them everything. I yelled at my dad for leaving a gun where anyone could find it, but he said it might have saved my life. Long story short, the cops came and found no evidence of the man. With no neighbors nearby, there were no witnesses. I still don't know what his intentions were. but I'm grateful my girlfriend noticed something in that Snapchat. Without her, I don't know what would have happened.
That is crazy. Shoot, a Snapchat saved his life. Hell yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying this.
This happened about 5 years ago. I was 16 at the time, and like most high school kids, I was on Snapchat almost 24/7. It was the way that I communicated with all my friends, and I had like 20 different streaks with people. I still use Snapchat today, in fact, but not quite to the same level. Anyways, one night, I was in my bedroom just watching TV and snapping friends. I lived with my parents at this time, as well as my older sister. I remember that I was on the app and I saw someone new added me. It was a girl named Sophie, so without even looking at her profile or anything, I added her back. I didn't recognize her name, but I thought that maybe she went to my school or we had mutual friends. I didn't know why else somebody would add me. Also, without giving it much thought, I sent her a selfie without any words. I wanted to see who she was. She responded back within a minute, except it was not a picture of her face. She was outside and it was nighttime, so I couldn't see much. It looked like she was in somebody's backyard and there was a house. After like 5 seconds of looking at it though, I realized it. This was my house. I was so confused. The picture did not have her in it at all. It was just a picture of my house. I got up and went over to my bedroom window, which did look out to the backyard. However, we did not have good lighting back there. The backyard light was off, and there were numerous trees in the yard. I couldn't see anything. I kept looking though. Then I snapped the girl back, but instead of a photo, I sent a message. I asked who she was and why she was in my yard. Then, as I was still looking into the backyard, I saw a flash of light quickly come out from behind a tree. Then it went away. I barely saw a person sort of behind it, but I didn't get a good look at them at all. Then I got the snap of the picture that I had just seen being taken. It was a flash photo this time of the back of my house again with no words. I was so confused. I continued to look out the window. Then I saw what appeared to be a man run out from behind the tree and then hop the fence into the neighbor's yard. I couldn't see very well at all. It was literally just enough to distinguish that it was probably a guy, partly from the looks and partly from movement. I couldn't tell how old this person was or anything. It happened so fast. I was really freaked out, but told myself that maybe it was a prank by one of my friends. After that, I went around the house and covered every window and double-checked all the locks. Then I went back to my room. When I got there, I saw that I had a voice recording sent to me on Snapchat by the same user. I say user because at this point, I was sure that it wasn't the girl it appeared to be on Snapchat. I played the recording. It was the sound of a man laughing, and he seemed older than high school age. I was so creeped out. I started snapping all my friends, telling them about it. None of them seemed to have any idea who it was, as if it might have been a prank or something. After that, I blocked the user. For a few weeks, I felt paranoid, wondering if somebody else would add me, or if someone would show up in my backyard, but nobody did. I still wonder who did that, and why.
Yeah, these are definitely nice, creepy
This is something that happened about 4 years ago. It all started when I got added by this random guy on Snapchat. I think his name was John something. I don't remember exactly. But I didn't immediately recognize his name or anything. Still, I added him back and didn't think too much of it. During this time, I was in college working on my master's degree. With the 5+ years that I had spent in college and the various jobs that I worked, I figured he maybe knew me from somewhere. I also had quite a few friends on the Snapchat app. So anyways, a few days went by after this. One day I was at home in my apartment, and for some reason I looked onto the Snap map. This map shows you and all of your friends' locations if they have it turned on. Well, I noticed that there was a guy on the Snap map, seemingly in my apartment complex. It was the guy who had recently added me. I figured that maybe he lived there as well. He did not have his last name on his Snapchat, so I didn't know who he was or how to find out. After that, the next day, I happened to be on the other side of town with a couple of friends. We were at a park working out, and it was kind of a popular area. There were quite a few other people there, and shortly before leaving, I looked on my phone and I looked at the Snap map again. I remember that my friends and I were seeing where another one of our friends was. Well, I noticed that the same guy was at the park. He did not appear to be right next to me, but was pretty close.
Oh, hell no.
I looked around, and I didn't know what he even looked like, but I also didn't notice anything strange. Within my sight, there were probably at least 20 different people. Maybe this was just a coincidence, but it seemed kind of odd to me. Things got even stranger though. I started to get curious, and when I got home, I looked on my Snap map again. Once more, the guy was seemingly right outside of my apartment a short time after I got home. The next day, I went to the grocery store, which was just a couple of miles away from my place. When I was there, I randomly had the thought to look on the map. I thought, there's no way this guy's gonna be here as well. But when I looked, he was there, and according to the map, was in the parking lot. Now, the locations on Snapchat only update when you're on the app, and they're also not always 100% accurate with location, but they're usually pretty close. I looked around the store for the rest of the time that I was there. I honestly couldn't tell where the guy was though. I mean, I didn't even know what he looked like. But this was very suspicious, and I started to wonder if he even lived in my apartment complex, or was he possibly stalking me? When I got home that night, I looked on the map almost immediately. The guy appeared on the map seemingly right outside of my place again. Now I decided to ask him some questions. I sent him a chat on Snapchat asking who he was and how he knows me. After sending the chat, I went into my settings and then turned my location off. Then I saw that the guy had opened my message, but had seemingly left me on red. I was very confused, so I just blocked the guy. Several minutes went by. I lived on the first floor of my apartment building. I was in my living room, and then there was suddenly a knock at my window. It was coming from my bedroom.
Oh, hell no.
I went inside, and as soon as I did, saw this man standing there looking into my window. I had never seen him before in my life. This was the guy who added me on Snapchat? I moved out of the room, but he continued to knock on my window, and the knocking was seeming to get louder. I decided to call the police. This guy was appearing to stalk me or something, so I told the police what was going on, and they said that they would be there shortly. Meanwhile, the man at the window had mostly stopped knocking by then. I went into my bedroom to look, and I no longer saw him there. After looking out of the window, it seemed as though he had left. But just moments after that, I heard the sound of somebody trying to open the front door to my apartment. It was locked, and that was followed by a knock at the front door. I stayed in my bedroom. After that one knock, though, I didn't hear anything else. Things were quiet until the police got there maybe 5 to 10 minutes later. After that, I spoke to them and gave them every bit of information that I could. Unfortunately, it seemed like the man had left, and since then, I've never heard from him again.
Oh yeah, never add anybody random. Hell no. This will be the last one.
My name is Honey. I'm almost 30 and I use Instagram to share pictures of my art. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Honey is a weird name, so please don't tell me what I already know. No, it's not a nickname. My parents are from California and they're like uber hippies, so go figure. As you can probably guess, I grew up in this overly loving, peacenik environment, which I'm sure sounds cool at first, but let's just say it left me wholly unprepared to deal with some of the darker things in life. Needless to say, I really struggled with my mental health in my mid to late 20s. I don't want to totally blame my parents for that. I think they did the best that they could, but they seriously didn't help with their just fill your heart with love nonsense, when what I needed was actual therapy and antidepressants. I got access to professional help in the end, but what really helped me keep it together in the meantime was my art. Before I started to suffer with depression and stuff, I used to paint and draw some pretty basic stuff. Landscapes, portraits, floral displays, stuff like that. But when I started to really suffer, I let out all my stress, anxiety, and sadness on the paper, and as weird as it sounds, that's when my art really started to flourish. It was probably the only silver lining to ever come out of my poor mental health. The more I posted my newer, darker art on Instagram, the more attention it got. My follower count shot up, I got offers for commissions, I actually managed to hook up with a t-shirt merch company and make a few sales that way too. Like I drew this pizza demon thing one time and that made me a few $100 from people wanting that thing on a t-shirt too. So when I say dark, I really do mean I started drawing some really messed up stuff. The pizza demon thing was probably the lightest-hearted thing I put out there in that time, and even then, people said it was super messed up. So as you might imagine, my new followers included some pretty messed up people. I don't say that to be like I'm complaining or mean or anything. I say that because one of them in particular made my life pretty difficult. So I get a direct message off of this guy who says he really loved my work and wanted a piece commissioned. Of course I say yes. So he follows up by asking what my rates are. I had no idea what I was doing in terms of dollar amounts at that time, so when I quoted him like $80 for a picture, he started explaining that I needed to value my art more, how my work was just as valuable as any other, and how I should be charging a whole bunch more for my art. I had no idea what to up my amount to, so I kind of threw out a few ballpark figures before the guy makes my jaw hit the floor when he offers me a straight grand for an A3 size picture of whatever I wanted to draw or paint. I couldn't believe it. $1,000 for a picture? Which was more money than I'd ever made in my whole life. I got to work straight away, and within a week I'd poured my heart and soul out onto paper and sent it off, and got my money via PayPal. Having that kind of affirmation actually lifted my mood to the highest it had been in months. I felt valued, like I could contribute something to the world. I was still dealing with my demons, but when I learned that I could actually profit from them, that I could make use of something that plagued me, it was a great feeling. I stayed in touch with the guy. I'd never been so grateful to anyone in my life until that point, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't think I'd be able to get more money out of him if he wanted something else commissioning. We used to talk back and forth a fair bit, and he shared that he too was an artist. I asked him what kind of artist he was, and he told me that he worked in some very unusual mediums. Naturally, this only got me all the more curious, as I got super dark with my art too, but he seemed pretty timid to talk about it. I get that people can be shy about showing off their artwork. I was pretty shy too at one point, but this guy needed some serious coaxing in order to show me anything. When he finally agreed to show me anything, he told me that he'd do it via one of those self-destructing messages that Insta now does. I didn't question anything. Like I knew he'd send one of those self-destructing pictures, maybe so he could protect his intellectual property or something. I was a little confused as to why he didn't seem to trust me, but hey, I pretty much adored this guy, so like I said, I didn't ask too many questions. I waited patiently for him to send me a picture of some of his work. It took a minute or two, but he sends me this 3-second self-destructing picture that I was honestly super excited to see by that point. But when I actually saw what it was, even if it was for a real brief time, I really, really wish I hadn't. It looked like a goat's head in a jar of some kind, and the fluid it was floating in looked sort of greenish-black, and I'm pretty sure it was formaldehyde. But it wasn't just that. The guy had opted to make a few little additions to the goat head, additions that I couldn't all catch because of how quick the picture flashed before my eyes, but the ones that I saw were horrible. It looked like he'd carved the lips away so that all the creature's teeth were showing, and on each one was carved or written a little symbol. I'm also pretty sure he either chemically changed the creature's eyes or replaced them entirely with a kind of metal or semi-precious stone. They had this weird glint to them. Like I said, there wasn't enough time for me to drink the whole thing in, but there was plenty more about the creature's head that had been messed with. It wasn't the details which really got to me. It was the idea that the corpse of an animal had been so horribly disrespected just so he could try to make some kind of art out of it. I had questions, a lot of questions, but the first thing I had to ask him was if it was really real or just some kind of mock-up of a skull. He told me it was real, very real.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that he'd gotten hold of a goat's head from a butcher, preserved it, and then basically surgically edited the thing over time, mostly using dental tools, apparently for the sake of precision. I personally thought the whole thing was a disgrace. I'm vegan, and I try to stay as ethical as possible, but at the same time, I didn't want to go imposing my own worldview on the guy, especially since I liked him so much. I also didn't want to offend him, so I told him his work was interesting and jaw-dropping. Then asked if he worked with ink and paper or any variation on that. He told me no, and that he only worked with skulls. how they were the capsule that held all the hopes and dreams and fears and needs of the once living creature they belonged to, and that working with them was kind of sacred. I didn't really know what to say to that. He was right in a way. He sounded absolutely crazy for saying it out loud, but I couldn't entirely refute his point. It was like talking to some kind of insane genius almost. Not long after, he asked me if he thought he was cruel to work in such a medium. I told him people might find his work provocative, maybe even objectionable, but that it was fascinating nevertheless. And then he asked if I wanted to see more. Unlike the first time, there was no doubt in me that I most definitely did not want to see any more of this guy's work. But like I said before, I also really didn't want to offend him. So what could I do? It took me much longer to reply to his message that time, but in the end, I told him sure.
I would say
he replied
no.
saying that he'd use another self-destructing message. Again, I waited a minute or two for the message to come through, and when it did, I opened up the message thread and tapped the little reveal message thing with some reluctance. The first time around, for that goat heads thing, I at least had some degree of curiosity. But at that time, I was just plain horrified by what I saw. It was a monkey's head, or at least it looked like it was some kind of primate. And if I thought the goat's head had received some disturbing additions, this latest one turned out to be 1,000 times worse. It was so bad I only caught the briefest glimpse of it and just had to look away and lock my phone screen to get it away from me. I was a little more confrontational with him after that, telling him that one was considerably more disturbing than the first, and I thought I was maybe a little too sensitive to see any more of his work. He asked why, and I broke it to him that I've been vegan for a few years, that I was a real animal lover, and although I could stomach the goat thing's head, I really couldn't handle the monkey head as it looked far too human to me. That's when he replies to me all like, it's interesting you should say that, and goes on to explain that it's his dream to work with a human skull, how he's put up a few ads on 4chan and stuff asking if anyone would be willing to donate their head should they die, but hadn't gotten any replies. And then he told me that he was getting really impatient, and that he was worried he wouldn't get a chance to realize his dream.
Block him now.
The whole exchange had reached peak creepiness by that point, as you can imagine, and it was fast getting to the point when I was reaching for that block option, as I just didn't feel safe talking to him anymore. So by the time he actually messaged me another self-destructing message asking if I'd be willing to help him get hold of a human head, I just noped out of there and stopped replying to him. Like, I'm not sure he was actually asking me to, kill anyone with him or for him, but just the idea of going about procuring an actual human head? God, no. But I couldn't bring myself to block him. He was a potential source of sales after all, and I could make a lot of money from the guy if I kept him interested in my work. I try not to think about it, but I get these really bad feelings from time to time. What if he catches on to the fact that I just ignore him? And what if he decides that my head is the one he'd like to use to complete his magnum opus?
That's why you block his
I try
ass.
very careful with what I post now, making sure it's only ever pictures of my art, and that the handful of landscape photos I'd posted on my profile had been deleted, just so whoever it is can't get an idea of where I live. Because if they do work out where I'm at, there's just no way I'd be able to go around feeling safe, not with someone whose ambition is to work with severed human heads, knowing where I lay mine at night.
All right, everybody. So that concludes our spooky, scary video night. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was fun getting back to it. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too. I honestly want to probably start back doing spooky scary night, maybe every Friday, just a break from video games or whatnot. And yeah. And if you have any suggestions on some videos yeah, please leave a comment. Okay, guys. All right, so we're going to raid out over here. So, all right. Well, looks like my hubby is playing. All right, some power up. But guys, remember, you are awesome and amazing, and never let anybody tell you otherwise. Remember, if you are loving and feeling the vibes, hit that like, follow, and subscribe. I will be most likely playing Mall together. Just something chill, you know. Tomorrow, I'll figure out what I'm going to be doing over the weekend, but over the week and the weekend. But yeah, it's been real. It's been fun. And you guys are awesome and amazing. Okay, stay. Have a wonderful night, morning, whatever time zone it is for you guys. You guys stay awesome, hydrated, and healthy, and wonderful. And I will see you on the next one. Bye, everybody. Bye bye.